guys, what is up? Welcome back to another Avorion live stream, and today we're going to be seeing about upgrading our ship a little bit further so we can start taking a look at doing some pirating. Basically, what that entails is getting, enough Xanian to build a bigger ship with better shields. We're going to go ahead and start the stream up, so if you're getting this part of the episode, you're watching it on YouTube, so thanks for that. Stay tuned for the whole thing if you want. If not, and you want to watch a more guided Avorion experience, check out the rest of the Avorion series. I'll tag it at some point throughout the video. I've got tutorials covering just about everything about the general gameplay. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive into the stream. Alrighty guys, what is up? Welcome back to Avorion. We are in it for another live stream. We're going to be gathering some Xanian, upgrading our ship, hopefully getting to the point where we can start doing some pirating a little bit so we can start building some credits. I've kind of warped around a little bit, checked out a couple places, found some more asteroids, that kind of thing. So we've built up a little bit of money, but realistically what we need to do is start grinding a little bit harder on getting our ship upgraded so we can actually do some combat, because as once we get to a specific point, like I'm thinking maybe 1,000,000 shields, somewhere around there is probably a good point. We'll be able to go out to the iron titanium sectors, and even if we don't have super great weapons, we should be able to start raiding some of the weaker factions to get some money built up. The reason why you kind of want to build up money at this point is you want to start building mines and stations and all that stuff, and it costs a lot of credits. We've got like 4 million credits, something around that area, which isn't terrible, but it's not enough for us to realistically build anything. You can't so there's kind of a couple ways we could approach this. We could do some more exploration and see if we find more claimable asteroids to sell. We also can take a look at mining some more and selling what we mine to generate some credits. It looks like for about every 100,000 Xanian that you sell, you get about 1.5 million credits. So that's not like, that could be viable too. I mean, gathering 1,000,000 Xanian is not that hard, necessarily speaking, but I think we should be focusing on upgrading our ship first and foremost, just because not only will it enable us to do pirating, which really will help when we get to, trying to gather bulk amounts of money in the game, but it also will kind of prepare us a little bit better so we can start clearing some of the uninhabited sectors of pirates and stuff like that as we fly around and explore, because those uninhabited sectors tend to have more claimable asteroids that you can sell, and when we're ready to start building mines and things like that, it's sometimes better to build them in those sectors, just because you can have 2 mines, 3 mines in one place as opposed to only one. With that being said, not a big deal. We're just stopping off at the resource depot, get another 44,000 or 43,000 Xanian, and kind of going from there. I don't remember, I think these guys won't trade with me. Oh, they will. Cool. So we could... none of these are all that good. Do they have any good weapons? That's actually not bad. Double Tesla at 16k. It's only 2 slots as well. So we might buy that. I think we're going to go buy that Tesla turret. Yeah, it's going to chew through a fair amount of money, but I think it's worth it because we need some more DPS on this ship. So let's see. I think we'll take off this small Tesla, or the 2 small Teslas that we've got, and we'll put on this bigger one. We do need to upgrade this turret base first, so little trick for this: since we want the same block, you can tick transform block and it'll just upgrade it. That way you don't have to resize it and deal with all that noise. So there we go. That took us up to 2.4k Omicron, which is a little bit better. I think that's an extra like 700 Omicron, something like that, than where we were sitting. We could, in theory, start upgrading the ship right now because we do have some Xanian and stuff like that. I kind of want to wait, though, a little bit. Um, uh, Mainly because I want to have about 500,000 Xanian before we start doing it in building, just so I know that we're going to have enough. Uh, that might be a little bit of overkill, but I think it's better to have more than not enough, just because it gets kind of frustrating when you're trying to design a ship, you're placing your blocks, and then suddenly you can't build what you want to build or need to build because you don't have the resources. With that being said, we're just going to explore around a little bit, see if we can find another asteroid field that has some Xanium for us to harvest, and kind of go from there. Anyway, so let's see. That sector was a little ways away, so hopefully Xanian's still spawning out in this area. And we did go into a sector with an asteroid, it looks like. So that is good. If we can find it, that is. So let's just zoom out real fast and see. It should become obvious if there is one. There it is. Cool. Then we can fly over. So this sector has a bunch of mines in it already, so selling this asteroid, even if we had the credits to build a mine, probably would be what we'd end up doing anyway, just because the way the AI works, they almost always build gold and platinum mines, so it saturates the market, which kind of sucks if you're trying to add in your own mine. So anyway, not a big deal. There we go, sell it, get a cool 291k. And there is a little bit of Xanian can go mine while we're here, so it's not a complete waste. I do kind of want to stay in this sector because there are some faction combat ships here. So there's one right there, because it looks like there are subspace signals. You can't see it because of where I have my webcam footage set up on the stream, or like my layout or whatever you want to call it, but they're getting stronger, which means we'll probably end up seeing some pirates in the next couple minutes. So being in a sector that has some actual, what do you want to call it, faction ships that are defending is useful, because then we can kill or do like 1 damage to a pirate ship, let the faction kill them, collect all the rewards, and we still get some money out of it. Because at this region, the ships are way stronger than we are. Like, they have way more shields than we do. They do, between 3,000 and 5,000 Omicron, so worth of damage. So yeah, I don't really want to fight them. So it looks like these are Zotans, which is fine. It doesn't appear that they're going to bother us, which makes sense. Like, actually they just turned hostile because they saw us mining, but that's fine. They should fight the faction if the faction goes over and starts damaging them. I don't really want to get into a scrap with the Zotan just because they are typically stronger than the pirates, and I don't think we are equipped to handle it. Now, the only downside with Zotan ships is you don't get the credit reward for protecting the faction, so there's no real reason for us to fly over and start battling them. And just kind of leave it as is and call it good. So we're gathering up our Xanian, getting things ready to go. We'll go scout out the wreckages once they're destroyed, see if they have any good turrets or systems or anything like that for us, which is possible. One thing I want to mention about turrets and, like the drops and stuff like that, it is RNG based by and large, so, you just have to get lucky, but the higher the difficulty setting on the game, the better potential drops that you'll get. So, like, since we're playing veteran difficulty instead of normal difficulty in this one, we have a better drop. Like, the drops that we could potentially receive are better than if we were playing on normal. So that's nice. It doesn't look like they dropped any systems or anything, so we're not even going to bother checking out the wreckages because I don't need scrap titanium or iron at this stage. We really just need Xanian. I mean, I could pick up some trinium too. That way we can kind of min-max our costs and things like that when we upgrade this ship. We're probably gonna change the design a little bit. Now, I know last stream we kind of talked about just upgrading to one of the templates I've already built. I kind of want to show you how I go about designing ships, however, just because I think that might be a little bit more valuable than just, use this template, apply it, and you're good once you have the resources and things like that. Because if it's your first time playing through, or if you're newer to the game, a large portion of it is figuring out how to optimize your ships for different roles, or how, like, I normally end up building utility ships that can do pretty much everything. But yeah, anyway, there's some things that I specifically look for when I'm building in this game, and try to aim for as far as stats are concerned. So I kind of want to show that process off, and I think it's a little bit better formatted for a stream as opposed to just a regular video that's like 20 minutes long, because it does take a little bit of time to actually build a ship. So we're going to gather up some trinium while we're here too. I mean, we do have an auto miner that's gathering both trinium and xanium for us, but we need to increase the amount that we're getting overall. So by using the R mining lasers that we've got on the ship, it just speeds things up a little bit for us, because we'll get 50,000 of something, or 50,000 total per cargo hold or cargo haul that we take to the resource depot. We could upgrade the cargo hold on this ship too, just so we could carry more at a time. I don't think at this point it's not really worth it all that much, just because, I mean, it takes about 30 seconds to refine a full inventory of stuff with this ship, the way the cargo bays are set up. And that feels pretty good, because you're not sitting by the resource depot forever. So that's only 12, because we're about halfway full. So no worries, get another 20,000 xanium, 2,200 trinium. We are only at 3.8 million credits, so it's not a whole lot. And that's why I'm thinking we're going to want to get some trinium as well, just because the better resources you use when you're designing your ship, it costs more credits to actually build. So like if I built the entire ship out of xanium, it will cost me a lot more credits to do that than if I built like the hull, for example, out of trinium. It'll decrease the cost significantly. So I think that's probably worth doing, mixing and matching our materials a little bit, just so we don't have to have a huge chunk of money in order to upgrade our ship. But we still, like the generators, the shields, the warp core, all that stuff will probably still build out of xanium. It's just more specifically like the hull I want to do out of trinium, which honestly isn't a bad move anyway, because trinium is one of the lighter materials, so it means that your ship won't drift as bad. Meaning, so like we're drifting right now because we're not going anywhere, so it takes longer to stop if you build your ship out of heavy materials. So anyway, no worries. We're just gonna warp. Maybe we'll come across another claimable asteroid, would be kind of cool. But either way, not a big deal. So yeah, I guess since last time, in between or before I started the stream, I did fight a couple of pirates and ended up getting a xanium R mining laser. So I went ahead and swapped out one of the trinium ones that we had on the ship. So we do have better, or well, a 50% better mining ability with this ship now than where we were. I am kind of looking forward to upgrading the ship, because I think we're at 2.5k. We need to get to 5k, I want to say. Yeah, 5k to get our 7th slot unlocked, which I'd like to do. So we kind of have a couple of goals when we upgrade this next time. One is obviously we want to try to get to about 1 million shields, and 2 is I'd really like to get over 5k processing power so we get the next slot unlocked. It's not that we necessarily need it for anything right now, but it'd be good to have it, because if we get a good trading system, we can socket that on the ship right away, and we won't have to, make a decision about dropping a different system to do that, which would be nice. Anyway, So let's take a look. So this one does have a asteroid, and it is a mining sector, so we should be able to come or fly around through here and gather more resources. So I think we've got 265 Xanian. I'm gonna mine trinium with this inventory, or the next two inventories, just so we can beef up our trinium count, because it's only around 80k. And then after that, we'll maybe start gathering some Xanian again. The other the other thing is we can mine trinium a lot faster than Xanian with this ship, because one laser is at the resource level that we're mining, and then one is one level above. So that just means that it does more effective DPS against trinium than Xanian. So like if we were mining a Xanian asteroid the same size as this trinium one, it would take us a lot longer to get through it. So we should be able to fill up 2 inventories of trinium relatively quickly. Not only because we have a relatively small cargo bay, but because our lasers mine trinium a lot faster. So here we are. I am kind of hopeful that we'll stumble across another mining system that's at least blue level, because if you permanently install a blue level mining system, it'll reveal up to Xanian asteroids, which would be nice, because typically if you're doing mining, you don't really want to mine out these speckled asteroids like this. You want to mine out the ones that are hidden, because you get a lot more on a resource drop when you do that. So like I think in the last one we maybe showed mining out a Xanian one, and I think we got like almost 400,000 ore out of it, whereas mining these is maybe like worth 5,000-6,000. So you have to mine a lot more of these smaller speckled ones in order to get the same amount of resource. So it takes, like, I don't know, it takes longer to mine the speckled ones for sure, just because you got to fly around and find them, so you need to have more of them available to you. It does take a while to mine out the hidden asteroids, I suppose, but it's typically worth it, because you save all the time of flying around and mining out a bunch of smaller ones. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on mining, I guess, but no worries. And I mean, we could in theory like upgrade the ship a couple like as we go and as we collect resources. I just like to have, you know, a big stockpile of it before I jump into the builder, because I end up trying to kind of build things symmetrically, and if I can't, like, if you run out of resources, you maybe can build half of what you want, and then your ship looks jank, or it doesn't quite do what it needs to as far as stats are concerned to be effective. So I just want to gather a little bit more trinium before we jump into the builder. So like after this inventory of trinium, we'll probably jump into the builder and see about adding or upgrading our ship a little bit, because I mean, we get, I think with the refinery tax on an allied faction, we end up getting like 47,000 of whatever resource it is if we fill up the entire cargo hold. So another 47,000 tritium will put us over the 100k mark. Will put us close to 130k, or yeah, I think it'll put us close to 130k, something like that, which is a decent starting point. Hull blocks aren't necessarily super expensive, but we might end up needing to do like the engines out of trinium as well. It just depends on how fast we burn through our credits, because once you start building with trinium and Xanian, you end up burning through your credits pretty quickly as you add blocks to your ship. So we'll kind of just bear that in mind if you're kind of playing along or following along or using this as a reference. Like, you not only need a fair amount of resources, but you also need a fair amount of credits. So like I would suggest maybe getting 3-4 million credits, kind of where we're at. We're at 3.8, 3.9, something like that on our credits. So that should be enough to at least start upgrading. We're probably going to need more to reach the shields, is my guess, just because we're going to need some pretty beefy blocks of Xanian on this ship in order to increase our shields that much. So yeah, we'll kind of see how it plays out, I guess, but my assumption is we're going to need to, you know, find some more asteroids or sell some resources in order to actually build the ship that we want. With that being said, although we're going to do kind of a new design in this stream, I don't know. I guess we'll kind of play it by ear. I might end up just upgrading whatever we design the ship to look like in this one, you know, for this series, and just kind of see how it plays out. Or I may change my mind later and just go to my really good battle carrier that I'm used to from my other playthrough, because that ship is fucking insanely strong and it can do literally everything. Like, it's got a 100,000, 200,000 cargo bay, it's got a huge hangar, it's got cloning pods, academies, docks, it basically does everything. I want to say I called it a battle utility carrier or something like that. But it's awesome. Like, I love that ship. It's just really expensive, so we're not going to be able to upgrade to that anytime soon. So I figure in the meantime, we're going to need something that is viable for pirating. And unfortunately, in veteran difficulty, you can't just go out to the Iron Titanium regions with, you know, 2,000 Omicron worth of damage and expect to be okay. Just because the ships out there have a fair amount of damage. Like, I want to say when we looked at it, it was around 3k Omicron that they do. So that's why I'm aiming for 1,000,000 shields. If we get 1,000,000 shields, even with 3k Omicron, it's going to take them a really, really long time to drop our shields. So we should be alright to take on a fair amount of faction ships. Anyway. Outside of that, things kind of just standard. I mean, you can see my dog in the back taking a nice nap, laying on her back like she does. She kind of, I don't know, she is comfortable in some fucking interesting positions, I will say that. Anyway, I just noticed that looking at my camera and thought it was funny. So anyhow, we'll get around this asteroid and mine out this trinium. And then I guess we could maybe go back and refine this at the resource depot real quick. We're almost full up anyway, so not going to hurt us too much to do that. I hate it when the stupid fucking AI ships come over and steal your fucking asteroid. It's like, homie, there are so many fucking asteroids over here. Why are you mining the one that I am mining right now? But that's okay, I guess, because we're not going to go to war with them over that. We'd get wrecked. Well, we could probably kill these mining ships without too much problem because they don't do any damage, but I don't really want to piss off the factions that are close to the barrier, just because it's typically good to have those available to trade with. And in addition, like, if you go to war with them, it means that you can't really place any mining ships in the area that's near their sectors. Otherwise, they will come and blow up your shit. So we're not gonna mess with that. It's just an interesting mechanic, because you would think they'd go to, you know, as opposed to cleaning up the tiny little specks of asteroid that we didn't grab yet off of our mine, they would go to their own. But apparently that's not how the AI thinks. Anyway, let's go ahead, fly back into this sector, refine these trinium ores up into materials, and I don't know, we might go one more sector and fill up one more inventory before we start building, just so we have enough. Like, we'll see how much we get out of this, I guess, and kind of see where our resource levels are at. I mean, 300,000 Xanium, we probably don't even have enough credits to place all that Xanium, so that should be good enough. It's just more the trinium that I'm worried about, because the way the processing power is computed, it's based off of the volume of your ship as opposed to, you know, like your stats or anything like that. So if we put a lot of whole blocks down that are trinium, it will increase our processing power a lot. However, placing a lot of whole blocks is going to require a lot of the material. So anyway, so we're going to get 44k. That should put us just over 120,000. We probably want a little bit more than that, if I'm honest. So we're gonna go do another run try this sector. Now this sector might be off of the warp lanes. It might not. You kind of, once you've played for a little bit and you've explored a lot, you kind of get familiar with how the map will lay out sectors when they're green anyway. I mean, the yellow ones, if you go there, they're almost always asteroids, or they're a pirate stronghold or a smuggler's outpost. But see, this is a scrapyard. It's not connected to any. And the reason why I kind of guessed that is because there's a connection right here. So normally when there's two sectors next to each other like this, one of them is not going to be connected. So anyway, that's a little trick for you if you're struggling to find scrap yards or asteroid fields that are in green sectors. Look for two that are right next to each other, and if you know that one of them has a warp lane to it, go to the one that doesn't, and it's probably a scrapyard or an asteroid field. Now, we could be using the scrapyard and doing some salvaging. That can be lucrative as well, just because salvaging lasers can potentially benefit, like get you more resources faster than mining lasers. I don't really have any good salvaging lasers though, and honestly, I fucking hate salvaging. Like, I think it's the worst part of this game, in all honesty. Like, I normally only do salvaging if I have salvaging fighters and I happen to be in the sector. Normally, if I want to get salvage, I'll build a little fighter carrier, put some salvaging fighters on it, and some good salvaging lasers on the ship itself, and send it off to kind of harvest up a pirate base or something like that after I've destroyed everything. Because when you're doing salvaging, you get bulk drops off of the ships. So like, it depends on how good the ships are that are there that you're salvaging. So you might end up just getting a shit ton of titanium or iron or whatever garbage material that you don't want. But if, like, let's just assume the ship's built out of Xanian, you break off a big piece of Xanian hull, you might get 8,000 Xanian for breaking a couple blocks off of a ship while salvaging, whereas mining an entire asteroid is only sometimes going to give you 8,000 of the resource, right? So anyway, like, salvaging is a good way to gather resources, don't get me wrong. It's just not that's just not how I normally play. I normally go out and mine. Once we get a ship that can actually do some pirating, we'll take a look at setting up an auto salvager for sure, just because those are good to kind of follow your main ship around. So you send in your main ship, you go kill all the pirates or whoever you're fighting, then you send your salvager in behind you to go clean up all the scraps and get you all the resources out of the ship blocks. And it's a pretty good way to do it. Then you don't have to worry about outfitting the salvager with super great weapons, because you can use your main ship to kind of protect it for the most part, and things like that. But that'll be a ways off yet, because we don't have a ship that's ready for combat, really. I mean, like, we can do a little bit of combat, just not a lot. So that sector was kind of a bust on resources. So let's go up to this one maybe. And see, I'm trying to stay within range of those two refineries, or resource depots, I think is what they call them. I call them refineries sometimes, because that's what they do. But anyway, I want to be able to warp back there in one jump. That way we don't have to wait for our warp core to cool down for like a couple minutes or what have you. So on today's stream, I don't know how long it's going to be. I guess it probably depends on how long it takes me to design the ship, because I don't really know how we're going to do that yet. I would like to make it not a giant floating cube and actually aesthetically pleasing in addition to functional, just because I kind of normally just build functional ships, meaning they're just a bunch of fucking blocks stuck together, and that's about it. Like, you can get really good ships that way, they just don't look all that good, and I figure if we're going to show you how to build, might as well build something that looks good. I mean, I do have a general idea on how to build, like, shapes and stuff like that in Avorion, so I know how to make the ships look good. I just normally can't be bothered to do it, mainly because it takes a long ass time. If you're new to the game, like, you can spend hours and hours. Like, the gameplay itself, assuming you've got templates and shit like that, you're probably looking at an 100-hour investment in order to beat the game, right? And that's, kind of pushing it and not really spending the time to build out your resource generation, build out your credit generation, all the shit that is kind of why you play the game. That makes it fun. That's like speedrunner type shit. You're looking at about 100 hours to play a game of Avorion, all the way through the end. Um, so you could spend roughly 10 to 20 hours just designing ships. And that's probably a low estimate. Like, I think on the templates that I do have, I built out a fair amount of them in just a creative game, which is the best way to do it because then you don't have to worry about resources. You can just build the ship to be what you want. And then in your main game, you go harvest what you need resource wise to make it happen. Um, anyway, in that game, I think I spent maybe 15 hours or so designing and testing and making the templates that I do have because I don't have any templates that I like downloaded from Steam. You can download templates from the Steam Workshop for this as well if you don't want to take the time to design your own, but you're missing out on a really big and really fun part of the game if you do that. So, I mean, I don't recommend going and just finding templates unless you really can't be bothered designing your own. Because it's fun. It is fun building your own ships. I mean, that's part of why I like this game the best. As far as like space sims are concerned. I mean, I've played some Empyrean and stuff like that, which is a good game. Like, don't get me wrong, I do like Empyrean. I've got a series, or well, several series of Empyrean gameplay. I'll probably tag one of them here if you want to check that out over on YouTube. But I like Avorion way more than Empyrean. Way more. Like, the building's so much better. The gameplay itself is so much better because there's actual, like, shit to carry you through the end game. Like, the problem with Empyrean is after you reach, like, not even 15, like, level 12, and you can build a warp drive, there's no point in playing anymore because there's no end game content. Once you can leave the planet and have a capital vessel, you're done. So, there's short games. It's like 2 hours to reach all the content in that game. Whereas with Avorion, 100 hours in, you still got a lot of shit to do. Usually. I mean, I guess it depends on how you play the game too. But that's my read on it. This game, keeps me engaged a lot longer. Like, I mean, granted, I guess I do have like 100 hours on Empyrean, but this one I have like 130 hours, something like that. And I could easily play another 130 hours in this game without any problems, without getting bored, without any of that kind of stuff. Whereas with Empyrean, yeah, I don't think I could I could go for another 100 hours of Empyrean at this point. Like, they need to add more shit to do. Is my read on it. I mean, they did have like a specific patch or something, I want to say, called Project Eden, that had some quests and stuff, which was kind of interesting because it gave you goals to work towards. But yeah, it's not in the actual full release of the game, which they just dropped, which is fucking mind-boggling to me. Like, if you're gonna full release the fucking game, why aren't you full releasing it with all this quest content that you built for a fucking patch? Like, what the hell? It's not like it was buggy or something because like, you could play it and it was fine. It's no more buggy than just the regular game. But it actually gave you a reason to progress beyond just building a capital vessel. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on Empyrean. I know we're not playing that today, but yeah. Anyway, Avorion's better. So if you're on the fence between Empyrean Galactic Survival and Avorion, definitely pick Avorion. It's way more enjoyable in my opinion. There's way more shit to do. You won't get as bored as quickly. If you enjoy, flying a spaceship around. Like, if that's the kind of game you're looking for, I think they tagged this with like action, RPG, something like that, and then space sim sandbox is what I would say. Avorion's the best one. Like, hands down, is the best one out. There's the content's there. The community is pretty good. Like, it's fairly stable. The only downside with Avorion, I guess, is it is running off of an instant server, which kind of sucks because sometimes it gets a little bit laggy, or it takes fucking forever for a system to load in, or what have you. So that aspect of Avorion I don't like as much as Imperium, which is just, you have the files downloaded, you're good to go. But I believe they, like, when they release updates and patches and bug fixes for Avorion, I think most of it is aimed at building better server stability and stuff like that. Because, like me, that's typically people's biggest gripe with this game. Especially if you're playing multiplayer. I mean, I only play single player on basically all of my games. But if you're playing multiplayer, and you have more than 5 people on your server, like, the game just fucking sucks because it takes forever for shit to load and it's laggy and there's just weird things that happen. So I'm looking forward to them improving that a little bit just so multiplayer becomes a little bit more viable. But anyway, not a big deal. Just thought I'd mention it while I was thinking about it, I guess. I am excited. They are supposedly releasing some DLC for Avorion too, which I think is centered around giving you more end game quests and bosses and stuff like that you can fight. So that way, you spend your 100 hours, you beat the Center Guardian, you still have stuff that you can do, which I like to see. I mean, if you're gonna make DLC, I think it should be aimed at the end game content because, you know, why are you playing DLC content if you haven't even beaten the regular content that's in the regular game, right? That's just my 2 cents on it. I mean, in general, I don't really like DLC or the concept of DLC. I think that they should, you buy the game, you should be able to get the game, and be able to play everything. But I understand why they're doing it. Like, um, it's supposed to be a fairly large edition and things like that, so that's fine. That's the way, game companies have kind of gone nowadays. And I say nowadays because it didn't used to be that way. It used to be, yeah, you'd get updates to the game periodically, and they were included because you already spent the, $60 or $40, $20, however much it cost to buy the game. So the devs wanted to, you know, improve the experience for the player as opposed to make more money. But Avorion is a smallish, like, I think the dev community for this game is relatively small, so that's all right. Like, they deserve to make money because they've got a great fucking game. Anyway, well, when the DLC comes out, I'll probably end up getting it, and when it does come out, we'll probably do a series on YouTube, kind of talking about what's new and showing off that kind of thing, on our main game. I call it my main game. I guess it's my normal difficulty game, just because I have pretty good ship in that game. I've basically beaten it. Like, I haven't gone and done the final boss yet in that playthrough, just because I want to have enough DPS and stuff that I can basically one-shot it, or beat it in under 10 minutes, which it is a fucking feat, I will say. So it just takes a while to grind out everything, to be able to build the turrets primarily for that. Or at least it does for me. I don't know. Some of these, like, and the reason why is because I basically played that game like a speed run. I think there's like 90 hours or something like that I have into it. So I don't have like a super massive credit generating economy, in that game, which is part of what you should be trying to do, is build a fuck ton of stations and stuff like that, just so you have that passive credit gain going. You want to have a bunch of miners so you have passive resource gains and all that kind of stuff. But my focus on that one was more or less just trying to play my way through all the content, and I don't know. It's fun for me that, like, I think it's more fun kind of speed running games like this, just because, yeah, if you spend an extra 20 hours before you do some objective, the objective's going to be really easy, so it removes a lot of the challenge from the game. I kind of like having a little bit of challenge. I mean, granted, not not too much, I suppose. Otherwise, I'd be playing on insane difficulty all the time, which is fucking crazy, because the ships are insane that you fight against. Like, I want to say out in the Iron region on insane difficulty, they have like 20k DPS, which is fucking, like, that's so much. It's just so much. Anyway, we're gonna finish mining out these asteroids. We almost have a full cargo hold. I am glad that I found this big trinium asteroid. So I think we're gonna go refine what we've got in our cargo hold and then come back and mine out this big asteroid real quick, just because it'd be good to do it. Like, we're gonna want the trinium, because even assuming we upgrade our ship and we've got the credits to do it, which is a big question mark, I would say. We're going to want to have some leftover trinium and xanium anyway. That way, if blocks get destroyed from me crashing into things like a noob, you need the resources to be able to repair your ship. So it's good to have more than what you need to just build it. That way you can repair when the time comes. So anyway, that's the plan. We'll probably mine the other small asteroid that's over on the left of us here before heading back, because we're almost full. You can tell how full your cargo hold is. That little gray white bar up at the top is our cargo hold. So it's almost a full bar, which would mean that we have a full cargo bay. So we should be able to fit this asteroid, I would think. And then we'll pretty much be full. I doubt we'll be able to mine that entire giant asteroid without filling up all the way. At least not with the cargo base we've got on this. And if that's the case, I will just throw on like a big ass fucking cargo bay so we can mine out the whole thing before we go back. And then I think after we mine out that big trinium asteroid, we're just gonna go ahead and dive into the builder and start building out our ship and kind of seeing how that works. So there we don't quite have enough to carry all this, so let's just throw on a cargo bay now. It's fine. Which I think I showed last time I did something similar to this, like just throw those bad mammas on there, and now we've got a fuck ton of space. So the ship looks jank and it's like an awkward shape and things, but it doesn't necessarily matter. Like, that is the cool thing about space. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter if your ship is a fucking janky shape or whatever, because, you know, all that really matters is, do you have engines and power to be able to fly it? So this is 2.44K. We probably can actually mine this now before we go. Fuck it. Let's just mine it. We've got the cargo space. Might as well. It just means that we're going to be at the refinery or the resource depot for a long time when we fly back over there. Oh, and if you are curious about what flavor of nicotine salt I am vaping, it's by Coastal Clouds. Hold this up here. And it is sugared nectarine. I really like this flavor, actually. It's not my favorite one by Coastal Clouds. My favorite one by Coastal Clouds is Apple Peach Strawberry, which I've got here. I just normally go through one full flavor first before I switch. I find that it helps extend my coil life a little bit. I don't know why. Like, that's probably not even really a thing. But that's how I do. Anyway, so we're almost done with the sugar nectarine, and then we'll switch to the apple peach. I also kind of, I mean, you don't, like, I don't have to change the coil on this when I switch flavors, just because the coils on these last typically like 3 weeks to a month. But sometimes it's nice, you switch to your favorite flavor and you put in a new coil when you switch to your favorite flavor, because then it tastes a lot better. You only get that flavor's taste because the cotton inside of the coil will hold a little bit of residual juice for a while when you switch flavors, so you'll kind of get like a mixture. Granted, the sugared nectarine one is kind of a similar flavor profile, I guess you could say, to apple peach strawberry, but yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you guys in case you were curious. But yeah, no, I'm glad to be back in Avorion live streaming with you, It's always a good time. At least it is for me. I hope that you guys enjoy it as well. If you're watching this back on YouTube, um, I hope that you're kind of enjoying the new format for this Avorion series, where it's longer episodes covering a lot more stuff and kind of showing the grind element of the game as well. Because in this series that I have uploaded right now, basically they're just tutorial videos. I mean, they're like 10-20 minutes long max, covering one topic, and they don't show all the actual grinding that goes into playing this game, because there is a lot of grinding. Like, it's not just, oh, I want to build this amazing ship, let's fucking build it. No, that's not how it works. You actually have to go around and mine up all these fucking asteroids and stuff. And granted, I mean, I'm doing this wrong. If you're talking to a pro player, they'd say I'm doing this wrong. I should just spam out a bunch of really shitty fucking mining ships and send them out to mine for me, but I like mining. And we can't do combat yet because we're not strong enough, so it's kind of like nothing better to spend our time in game doing, since we've already reached the barrier. I guess we could be going and trying to start getting some of the Zotan artifacts, but most of those are boss fights, so we're not ready to start boss fights yet. We're just not. We'll get wrecked. Our shields aren't good enough, primarily. I mean, if we have 1,000,000 shields, yeah, we probably could take a look at doing SWACs. That would be achievable. We could maybe look at doing the AI. Might be achievable as well. I don't actually know how strong they are on veteran difficulty, but given the fact that the typical Omicron on a normal difficulty out in Iron Region is about 300, and at veteran it's 3,000, that's a 10 times increase, or 1,000% increase, right? So my guess is, if it took 1,000,000 shields for me to do SWACs, which I think that's about what I had when I fought SWACs on my other game. We probably want closer to 10 million, and we'll want a fuck ton more DPS, because you have to get through their shields too. Like, it's a balancing act. If you have really good turrets that do a lot of damage, you maybe don't need as much shields. But we don't have very good turrets at this point of the game, so no worries. We are getting pretty close to having this asteroid mined up, but as you can see, like, we've gathered about 52,000 out of this one asteroid. So if you can find these big asteroids of the material you're looking for, so in this case trinium, it's totally worth just sitting here and mining them, because you will be able to fill up your cargo bay really well. So pirates are attacking the sector, which probably means we're going to have to warp out, because that is just a mining ship. Hopefully they go and fuck with him first, so we can finish this asteroid off. Let me just set my warp real quick. Need to get back over here. Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine. It's going to be 2 jumps, but can't be helped. God, I hate when that happens. You have an asteroid in your field of view. We might be able to get this all mined out, though, before they come and bother us, because it'll take them a little while to get through that factioned mining ship. I would say let's go fight them, but we don't do enough damage to get through their shields, and they have more shields than us, and they do more damage than us, so they will destroy us before we kill them. And I don't want to do the whole fight, run away, because we'll be here for 20 minutes fighting 3 pirates, which isn't worth our time. It just isn't. Even if we got all red turret or red level turrets from them and systems and stuff, it still wouldn't be worth our time. Like, yeah, or it doesn't feel like that to me anyway. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I don't think so. So we almost have this done. Oh, the other kind of cool thing, if you chop the asteroid in half or whatever, little pieces will fly off of it, which is kind of cool, I think, anyway. They have like a physics engine for that or whatever. So let's go ahead, get these resources refined up. And it is worth flying back over here because we're friendly with this faction, whereas this one we're just neutral, so there will be a lower percentage refinery tax if we go to this blue faction when compared to the purple one. So that should save us a few thousand trinium when we're gathering our stuff. So that's why I'm doing the 2 jumps. Like, I think there was a resource depot within 1 jump of us, but I think the difference is friendly is like 4 or 5%, whereas purple is like 7 to 9%, something like that. Or well, these guys are neutral with us too. Fuck. All right. I guess they're getting close to being friendly. They aren't quite friendly. So, whatever. It's fine. Not a big deal. Also, going here is better for us. Like, if we take a look at the diplomacy, how close are they? Oh, they're really close. So we might sell a little bit of resources because you do get faction rep when you trade with the faction. So while this is refining for a minute, we are going to take a look and sell. So they want 7,000 trinium. We'll do that. We got 295 on our relations. Was that enough to take them up? Yeah. So that was well, maybe not quite. Just barely. We're just barely in the good rep now. So I didn't pay attention to see if that decreased, but it should have. Maybe by like 1%. Just to shore that up a little bit more, I'm going to trade the 39,000 Neonite we've got. Cool. There we go. And that gave us another 1,600. So, like, it's not a big deal. I just thought I'd mention that while we're over here and they were close so we could kind of take a look. But 6% refinery tax. So we turned in 100, almost 121,000 ore, but we're only going to get 113,500 back. So you lose about 8,000 ore. So not terrible, I guess, but not great either. I think when you're aligned with the faction, which to get aligned you have to get to excellent, and I believe you have to be over 90 on, like, it says 80 to 100 on that, right? So I think you have to be above 90 or 95 before they'll actually let you align. Basically, assuming you've got the relations built to that level, there will be a second button that appears here to form alliance. They'll want a credit value worth of trades to found the alliance, so you can do that either by just straight up paying them money with your credits if you've got a lot, or you can give them resources instead, and based off of the resource value, that will give you it'll convert it to a credit value or whatever. When we get to the point where we're ready to found or form an alliance with one of these factions, we'll cover that, obviously, but that's a ways off, primarily because it's going to take a while to get the rep built. So first things first, I'm going to go through and kind of take off all of our turrets so we can kind of focus on building. I know we are red now on the whatchamacallit, the triangle thing, but that was just because we had a turret on this ship. Since there's nothing on it, they shouldn't come and attack us. We are in build menu, which does pause the game, so we should be safe to kind of sit in here and build out our ship without anything happening. So first things kind of first, I'm going to take off, well, I took off all those inertial dampeners. I'm going to take off these integrity fields because they're kind of weird like there's small blocks that are just going to get in the way if you're trying to build like a big sheet or whatever. I am going to take off the transporter as well, just because I kind of plan on changing this design. So let's go through and delete a bunch of these thrusters, because I want to make this ship kind of look good. So I don't mind this kind of like split wing design, but I want to kind of make this centerpiece look a little bit better, as opposed to having this random fucking gap and stuff like that. Just because, I don't know, I think it'll maybe do a little bit better too. Like, we can kind of concentrate our thrusters into specific blocks that way. And it makes placing the holes a lot easier. So let's chop these, because I think those are just small cargo bays. Yeah, they are. We'll take off this turret. We'll take off these. I think those are shields. That's kind of what it looks like. They might be generators. I don't know. But I kind of, this is kind of how I do it anyway. If you're gonna, build a ship in survival, you start by kind of trimming it down to kind of just bare bones hull to begin with, and then you build it back up with the actual blocks that you want. So I think for this ship, we want to have a couple thousand cargo hold. That way we can still go and use our arm mining lasers and gather resources and everything. And outside of that, the rest of it's kind of going to be focused on just power balancing in order to give us a lot of shields, because we want a lot of shields. So let's take off these thrusters because we're going to change that layout too. So this is the founder block, or well, the founder block's probably buried beneath that, but that's fine. So this is kind of how I approach ship design. You kind of start out with very little as far as actual, utility blocks are concerned, and then you build what you need onto the ship. So we're going to take off all these wings because I want to upgrade. Let me do this. It's going to be faster. So you can use this rectangle selection tool to select multiple blocks at once, as opposed to just center clicking and deleting one at a time. It does depend. You can't delete out the very center block of the ship, otherwise it destroys it, and you'll lose all the systems, and you'll lose the crew, and yeah, that isn't good, so no worries. I believe, even though, technically this ship no longer has the required processing power to hold all of our systems, I believe they remain installed until we exit out of the build menu. You don't lose them. If I'm remembering right, it's only if you actually destroy the ship that they go floating off. But the reason why I'm doing this is it's going to be a lot easier for me to design the ship to look the way I want if I start with kind of just a blank single block, the founder block of the ship, and build off of that, as opposed to trying to work around all these little random cuts that I've got. And then I can also ensure that I'm using, the best materials I've got, as opposed to kind of the garbage materials that it's built out of. So that's a hull, that's a shield generator. So this is the main block. So we don't want to delete this, or else the ship will be gone, and we will start back in our home sector inside of our drone. So that's fine. I do want to upgrade this block to Xanian. So if you go to modify entire ship, you can go modification to Xanian. It'll refund the Neonite and make it Xanian, basically. So not a big deal. There we go. So now we've got a single block of Xanian in the center of our fucking ship, right? And nothing else on it. So bare bones. It's just a block ready for us to build on. So I'm going to start off with trinium holes, so we can kind of get the shape we want. And then off of the holes, you place the actual utility blocks, so like your crew quarters, cargo bays, that kind of stuff. So there's different ways you can do this. If you hold the control key, it'll match the shape that you're hovering over. So like this is a square, that's a square. So I want to make this a little bit longer, so the D key controls this dimension of it. So we're gonna zoom out a little bit, and I'm gonna make it like that long. Another little trick, you can use mirrors. So that'll do top and bottom, that'll do left and right, and this will do front and back. So I'm gonna front and back with trinium. What is that overlapping? That's fucking dumb. Alright, whatever. So there we go. We've got, this will be our relative length of the ship. We're gonna use the X mirrors to do the width. So we're going to do in 2 stages with this. So we're going to do 1 and 2. So it's a little, if we look at the top, that actually is not quite wide enough for what I want. So we're going to shrink this one to about half size and put it like that. And there we go. That's kind of the shape that I want to work with as far as like a base template goes. So it's going to be this long. It's going to be this wide. And kind of the way I plan on building this is I'm going to use these first two. So if I can fit everything I want inside of these two pieces of hull, that's what we're going to aim for. But that may not actually happen, if that makes sense. So we're going to go ahead, put our mirrors back on, because for this we're just laying out the base piece of the ship, kind of like that. I am gonna add like a little foil thing like this, so it's not just a giant fucking square on the front, if you get what I'm saying. As far as doing shapes, you got to use the blank hole, and this will give you, you know, like corners and stuff that you can use as well. So I think it is this edge block that we want, and if you hold R, you can rotate it. So we could do something like that, since it'll be the bottom. Oops, not really what I wanted. So like an edge kind of like that might work pretty good. So we're going to turn our mirrors back on. Place one like that. And then this is still an edge, but it's facing the wrong direction. So we're going to rotate it a couple times. Now it's facing the right way. And we can even change these out to be an edge. So that'll give us kind of like a fixed plane for the bottom anyway. And then we can do something similar on the top. Like I said, I am no expert at making good looking ships. So if you're looking for that, there are way better guides to follow. I just know that even adding this little bit of shaping to it makes the ship look a lot better. As you can see, we've got 95k hull, so that's not bad. I mean, we'll probably end up closer to 200,000, somewhere in that neighborhood when it's all said and done. But what I want to do is kind of get like an edge along this. So kind of like this is what I want. But we're going to wait to put those in until we fill in this section, just to see, you know, if we're going to have to expand this out into this second bar in order to fit all the stuff we want. I don't want to have a corner block sitting right here that I have to then go back and destroy, if that makes sense. So anyway, let's go ahead and start filling in some of the actual stuff. So as far as generators are concerned, and so there's different, the way that the blocks work kind of depends on what you're placing a little bit. So like crew quarters, for example, you can have like 20 small crew quarters and it doesn't necessarily hurt you. Whereas with like shields, generators, and hyperspace cores, having one massive block is way more efficient as opposed to having multiple blocks all over the place. So I like to start with my generator block, typically speaking. And we're going to make this fairly beefy because we plan on having a lot of shields on this ship. So that's 175k Xanium. We don't really want to use that much. So maybe we'll shrink this width a little bit. So if I look at that, it's roughly this wide. So it might make more sense to kind of place it in line with one of these. And then you can, well, we're matching shape here. You can match the block by holding shift. And then I believe, well, no, it won't actually. Come on, let me adjust this. What the fuck? Alright, fine. Be like that. We will go ahead and manually do it, but I believe that is the correct width. We can kind of tell because it should align, not including the center with this. And I guess we don't honestly need to do that either. Let's just place it in the center. Place it in the center like we had planned. That's going to cost us $500,000 to place this generator block. It is going to give us almost 60 gigawatts worth of generated energy, which hopefully that will be enough to power everything. If not, we can revisit this block and kind of expand it as needed. Next, let's go ahead and do the hyperspace core, just because we're going to want to be able to jump relatively well. So this is a 16K sectors, which means we can shrink this in half probably and still get about the same. So 10.3 is probably about what we want, I'm thinking, for our hyperspace core. That's close to what we had on the ship before we upgraded it. And it won't increase our cooldown too drastically. So there's our hyperspace core. That's good. We can almost go 13 sectors. Let's actually upgrade that so we get the full 13K. So we need to go just slightly deeper. I think that'll be enough. Yeah. So now we can go 13 sectors in one jump. So that'll be nice. There is a little gap in between those blocks, but that doesn't necessarily matter. Next, let's go ahead and build our cargo bay. So this will be 400, and cargo bays are relatively cheap, and it doesn't necessarily matter, you know, if they're separate. So like I could build a cargo bay here, for example, and a cargo bay here, and it's not going to hurt us. With that being said, we can't really match the shapes for these just because of kind of how we place this stuff, but I'm going to put a cargo bay. Well, where do we want our shield generator? We'll probably put the shields in the back, I guess. That kind of makes sense. So let's do this. Let's kind of just get 2 cargo bays set up. So that's 2,000 right there. We'll put on our mirrors. That'll give us a total of 4K. And it doesn't, like, we're not necessarily going to fill in this entire blank canvas of hull that we've got laid out. It's just more or less to serve as a building guide on how much room we've got to place our actual blocks. So, like, if we wanted these to be right next to each other on the center of the ship, we'd put them, like, right there. I'm going to go ahead and move them out just a little bit so they're kind of centered a bit more. Anyway, so there's that. Got our cargo bays. Our generator and shields are kind of off-center, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and fix that, because that is going to drive my fucking OCD crazy if we don't. So let's hyperspace core. That's what we want. D, go down. And you can build with the mirrors on and still hit the center. You just do this with the block and it will center it. So that's bigger than what we need, so we can shrink it. I forget how much we spent, so that's still too much. Still too much. So it's a little wide, I guess. 11.4 plus 2.5 is 13. That's almost 14 sectors. Sure, fuck it. Do that. Then let's rebuild the generator too while we're here. Just because I like having it centered as much as possible, I guess you could say. So first let's get the height fixed, since I kind of fucked that up. I think that's the same. Not quite. Sometimes it helps to change your zoom level too when you're doing this. So if you're trying to get a specific size, which it is sometimes good to match the heights and stuff like that, just so you don't have to worry about one random block being in the way of you constructing your top layer of hull or what have you. So we were doing 60, right? So we'll make this a little wider. It's about 58. Make it a little longer, maybe 40K. Yeah, that's pretty good. So we'll do that, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add an energy container that is the same size as our warp core, or close to the same size. So just like that, just to give us a little bit more storable energy. So once this all goes away, yeah, I get it. Go away. So we can store 142 gigajoules. We generate 35.9 gigajoules. So what the hell? I guess this generator needs to be bigger. I thought it said 60, but apparently not. Well, I do want it longer. So that says on the tooltip that it's going to add 109 gigawatts worth of energy. So we place it down, it only adds 55. So what the hell? I guess it's because we're using mirrors. It must be counting 2 blocks instead of 1. Whatever. 55 is probably going to be enough. I don't think we have enough Xanian to build too many shield generators because those are relatively expensive. But there we go. We've got our cargo bays, our hyperspace core, energy container, generator, and 2 cargo bays, plus the bottom hull. Next thing, let's go ahead and get crew quarters built. Now these can be a little tricky, so sometimes it's better to wait until the end. Why are we locked to match? That's not what I want, because I want to be able to custom this a little bit. How many crew? 400. We probably don't need that much. Well, we actually might need that much. So, and crew quarters aren't that expensive either. So let's do this. Make our crew quarters a little bigger and put them up here. So that'll give us 568. That should be more than enough to crew this ship. I'm hoping anyway. Like, if we need more than 576 crew, yeah, we're gonna have a problem, you know, staffing the ship to begin with. So, all right. Since we've got the bottom hull figured out, I'm going to go ahead and build our transporter. I like putting this right in the center. That's just how I do it, but if you remember from last time, if you were here, you can use the smallest block and it will still serve its function. So there we go. We got our little transporter on the bottom. So that's good. We could consider adding hangar bays. Do I want to mess with fighter? Like, that will mean we could put fighters on this ship too, I suppose, which wouldn't be bad. Nah, we'll wait on that, I think. So let's get our shields. Now, technically, this is the back of the ship, right? So we're going to use these 3 blocks to build our engines, but so that means we can fit a decent amount inside here for our shields. And sometimes it will save the height, but sometimes it won't. So that is the correct height. I do want to expand the width a little bit. Now, shields are like generators and warp cores. It's better to have them in one continuous block. So we are going to put ours like that, maybe 183k. We can afford that. How much does it cost us? 2.5 mil. So that's going to cost a fair amount, and we're going to have to expand the generator. So we can't quite afford this. So let's make it slightly smaller, because we still have to have enough power to run the engines and the thrusters, which we haven't gotten to yet. So 120k, it's only going to cost us 1.6 mil, and it gives us 900,000 shield. I really want 1 million, so slightly bigger, slightly bigger, slightly bigger. There we go. So that'll give us just over 1 million shields. It's just under 2 million credits. We're going to have to expand this generator, unfortunately, but that's all right. What we'll do is we're going to make the generator the same size block as our shields. So there we go, 126. That should be more than enough to power everything, including the engines and thrusters and shit. So cool. We will do that. Now, we basically have the blocks that we want, right? So we've got our cargo bay set up the way we want. We have enough power. We have enough shields. We have some energy storage. We've got decent warp reach. I mean, we're just under 12 sectors, this says. Whatever. That's fine. And we've got enough crew, right? So we can crew this bad mama up if, you know, once we're finished building it. So that's all good. Now, the focus should be on, all right, how do we fly this? Because this is a big-ass ship. You know, relatively speaking, this is huge compared to the ship that we had. So I think what we are going to do is we're going to switch back over to Trinium, and we're going to build our edges that we talked about. So it might be better, honestly. So we want them to be roughly the same. Or, well, we want it to be exactly the same size. So it probably needs to shrink one more. Yeah, that looks about right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to expand this edge so it's a little bit more severe of an angle. We do... But that also makes it longer, huh? Fuck. Forgot about that. So let's try something like this. Does that kind of work? Yeah. And then we can just put a bar, kind of connecting this to the rest of the hole. So once you have the size that you want, if you want it to look the same across your ship, you just rotate it. And then you know that it's the same size. You can use mirrors for this. I find that sometimes the mirrors get a little bit fucking weird, and don't always place the right way. So when you're working with shapes, sometimes it's a little bit easier to just do it by hand, more or less. So, whoops, that's a little bit higher than what it needs to be. Cool. So there we go. We've got kind of our little wings off on the side, and then we're going to switch back to just regular hull, and we are going to fill in this piece by shrinking that down so it fills. The only downside to matching the shape, if you're doing that, Control A selects everything on the ship so it highlights stuff, which sometimes can be a little bit annoying, but that's alright. So we've got that. So this is our our general design of the ship. At this point, like, we're still going to put a top on it, which needs to be at a minimum as tall as these cargo bays, and all these blocks inside are the same height, so we can use that as a guideline. But what I want to do first is put on some thrusters. Now, we are low on Xanian, so it looks like we're going to have to use tritium thrusters and engines to build this ship, which is alright. I mean, it's not the end of the world. But if we put a thruster on these outer rods like that, it should serve to provide more rotation and stuff like that than if we put it in the center. So these aren't super great, honestly. I was hoping for better. We are going to need some along the front and back as well in order to give it its turn radius, so we can't actually match the shape with the damn it. Control Z will undo your last delete, just in case you were wondering, or your last place. So we're gonna have to manually size these, it looks like, which is alright. I mean, not ideal, because it's easier to just hold control and kind of spam click, but let's see. We can make these slightly taller. I don't want it too tall because I kind of would like to slope our way in if we can. I mean, something like that. It'll add to the roll, but not so much to the yaw. What if we rotate it? It gives us a little bit more yaw that way. And then we can also make it wider. Kind of like this. That's decent, so let's put on our mirrors, just because I want it in roughly the same place on either side, and that's not always that easy to do, especially when you're working with triangles and stuff like that. So there we go. 0.06. So the roll is decent. The yaw and the pitch is garbage at this point. So what we need to do is we need to place thrusters on the front and back, and that will help. So doing this will give us good pitch, a little bit to the yaw, not a lot to the yaw, but a little bit. Let's go ahead and make that the same width, I think. Put it like that. So for this, I want to have the thrusters right on the back, so we're going to put this one inset a little bit. And as you can see, the farther out we go, the pitch increases, right? Because it's farther away from the center. So we're not too worried. Like, if you get it above 0.25 or above 0.2, especially on a big ship like this, that's decent for your pitch, yaw, and roll. Obviously, the more you have, the better. But so let's do that. That actually looks pretty good. Now we need to figure out the yaw. So my guess is adding some thrusters just along the side. So one there. Actually, let's turn on the mirrors for this, just because then we can get them in roughly the same place. So let's expand this just a little bit. And we're going to put it inset just a tad, because then we can plate these with hole blocks. So we're going to make these even wider, I believe. This big ass block of thruster. We still have a lot of trinium, so I'm not too worried. We should be able to build the engines and everything that we want. So we're at 0.17. We probably need a couple more, so we'll just place one there, and I do want space for the engine, so we'll put there. And fuck it, we'll just have thrusters running all along that side. So that actually does pretty good. So what I'm talking about on the yaw, it's these three stats right here where my mouse is at, if you can see that. So we've got 0.25 on your yaw, so it doesn't turn left and right super quick, like that's its worst stat. But 0.25 is still pretty good. That's workable as far as I'm concerned. Pitch up down is 0.72. That's great, honestly. And then the roll is 1, which is really good. That'll decrease as we throw on the engines and the rest of the hull for this, but it's a good starting point anyway. So you know what I'm gonna do, just because it kind of makes sense, is as opposed to having a bunch of small blocks, I am gonna build one massive fucking block like that. And it should, in theory, give us the same. Oh, I'm hitting F instead of D. What is going on? That's not the direction I'm fucking going. There we go. It's kind of hard to tell because it puts the green things on it, right? But let's try rotating these maybe. And maybe directional thrusters might be even better for that, since we're trying to kind of target specifically the yaw. So 0.8, 0, 0.8. Those are, I guess, making a massive fucking thruster doesn't actually do you all that good. So let's try this. Let's put some directional thrusters up here and back here. That gets us to 0.2. If we put another set like that, gets us to 0.3. I just want to kind of overdo this a little bit, because I know that the ship's going to get heavier when we add on the engines. So if you don't kind of like overshoot it a little bit, you're going to end up, you know, not having enough thrust once you finish building the ship. So that's 3.6, 3.4 on the pitch, 5.5 on the roll. I guess that's reasonable. So now, just so we have a little bit of reverse speed, I'm going to put 2 sets of directional thrusters like this, so it can go forward and back. So if you see on our deceleration stat right here, it's 31.6, so that's how fast we can go in reverse. If we throw another 2, it'll maybe get up to like 40, which isn't bad. I mean, we're not really, like, these will help us stop, but it's not our primary means of stopping. We are going to throw inertial dampeners up on the front, so let's go ahead and do that. Take your iron, and I kind of want this to match as much as possible, obviously. So just kind of zoom in. It's not always the easiest to get your angles set up perfect, but that should work pretty good. And we'll just have this bronze bar right in the front. and that will help us decelerate this ship, because it is pretty fucking massive, even though it's built out of tritium primarily. When you got a ship this size, like, you're going to need some inertial dampeners to kind of slow it down. And we will put 2 of them, so that gives us 100 on the decel. Let's do a third. Oh, we can't. We don't have enough iron. That's fine. So 100 on the decel. I guess that's reasonable. And then let's go back to tritium and let's build some engines up on this. So with engines, you always want to have multiple engines, so it's not about just building a massive fucking engine. It is about building multiple smaller ones. So that's only going to give us 8 for each one that we place, so what about that? 16. Can I make that any deeper? Yeah. And we can have a little bit of overhang on this, so that's 23. That's 25. 25 is reasonable, I suppose. So let's do that. And we're gonna try to fill this whole thing in. So we'll have 3 big engines like that, and then we'll have a 4th one up on the top. Or actually, let's have it with 6, I guess. Let's do 6. So that'll give us Excel of 1041. It says our max velocity is 1000. So that's actually pretty good. Like, that's a pretty good, as far as like speeds and stuff are concerned. You want your Excel and decel to be pretty close. So 95 and 141, that's actually not too bad, all things considered. On the max velocity, if you get it over, really you want to be at 2000 max velocity. And the reason why is if you have 2000 max velocity, then you don't have to boost to go faster than all the other ships in the game. But 1000 is still pretty good. I don't know what our ship was before we deconstructed it. I forgot to look at the stats. I'm sorry about that. But no worries. We could also consider adding in a couple of engines right here just to make it go even faster. Because we've got the crew capacity to do this, so it's kind of like it's going to benefit us, right? So there we go. Now we have 183 on our XL and 1072 on our max velocity, so that's decent. Our pitch up and down did go down to under 2.5, so I am going to throw on another thruster, and we're probably going to place it right in this little spot right here. So let's just shrink that, shrink a little bit more. Let's try that. So that helped the yaw, but not really the pitch, unfortunately. So maybe by adding in, so that gives us like basically nothing on pitch, but if we put one either side, let's try that. Okay, so that's a little bit closer. We probably want one, that's just gonna do yaw. What if we turn it? Come on, give me some pitch. It's because, and the way it kind of determines that is where it's located relative to the center of the ship. So I guess what we should do is maybe swap out. I don't even know. I guess we could put one like up here, maybe, and we can make it a little bit deeper. Like that. Or well, actually that doesn't really help us. So let's keep it small. And we'll put in 4 small ones. There we go. So that kind of fixes our pitch issue we were having. Like I said, I like having it at 0.25 or higher. So that got us back to where we want to be. We still have 157,000 Xanian. So we can kind of take a look. Or 157,000 Trinian, not Xanian. So we should still be able to put the top on this ship, even if it is just a, you know, flat hole, which is totally fine. I'm kind of trying to decide if I want to throw a hangar, a couple hangar bays on this or not. Let's see how much that would cost us. So hangars you can build out of tritium. going to want it to face this direction. So if you notice on this little tooltip, you see how one of those bars is red and one is white? You need at least one white bar on your hangar in order for your fighters to actually be able to exit the ship. So if we place it kind of like that, we can put one on either side, and that'll give us a little bit of fighter capacity. So we can add fighters if we want. I'm just going to widen this a touch more. It just has to have a clear path, so I want to give us enough room that we can add the hole to the side of those thrusters and everything without, blocking the hangar, because it won't work if it's blocked. That's not quite what I want, because I don't really want it to hang over the edge. So let's do that. That should work pretty good. Cool. So now we've got hangars too. So we can potentially outfit this ship with fighters when it's all said and done. We just got to make sure that we don't place any hole in front of this. So like this will be an open piece of the ship where the fighters can come and go, which will actually look kind of cool in my opinion. Like they'll fly out through like a little layer of hole or whatever, so it's kind of an enclosed thing, which I guess is kind of how you would design a hangar. I don't know. So we're looking good. We've got energy is decent. We've got enough crew. Shields are over 1 million. We've got over 200,000 hull, and that's going to increase when we finish covering all this with hull and adding on our integrity field generators. Hangar space, we can almost fit 136 fighters, so that's not bad. I mean, yeah, I'm going to leave that as is. So let's go ahead and get our hull, and let's go ahead and kind of show you how to do this. So what I am going to do is I'm going to make this as thin as possible to cover a lot of this, right? So it's not always the easiest. So if I do stuff like that, I can get most of that covered, right? Now, it does kind of chop our cargo bay, so we got to elevate a little bit. So totally fine. There we go. And then you can kind of copy paste off of these, right? So not too bad. We are doing okay on credits. Like I think we're gonna have enough to finish this, hopefully. Whoops, I don't want a second layer there. And then after I cover everything in whole, I think what we're gonna do is take a look at trying to shape it a little bit, if that makes sense. So that way it's not just like this fucking tapered brick type thing. I don't know. So let's shrink this width so I can hopefully get it to fit inside. Boom. That second one's too wide. Damn it. So let's widen that a touch more. So that should be about right. Cool. And if I turn on my mirrors, it should match. Because it is a symmetrical ship, by and large. So the fastest way to do this is to do the right and left at the same time. So now, cover up these thrusters. And as you can see, our radians on the right here have decreased, as is our acceleration and stuff like that. So when you add more hull, it increases the weight of the ship. So bear that in mind. So for these, we'll just control match the shape. Pretty easy peasy. These, we gotta go in and decrease the width. That's fine. And you can also encase these little blocks like that if you want. If you're so inclined, it doesn't necessarily matter. I just like to do that because, I don't know, I think it makes it look a little bit cleaner, all things considered. So for these, as opposed to, let's see, so we can put one like that. I kind of want this engine visible, if that makes sense. So we'll put one like that. We got to expand these out a little bit, so just go one at a time, I guess. Too far. So it only needs to go. So, oops. Cool. Let's do that. Just so it's kind of an enclosed space. I mean, this is not necessary at all. Like, you don't have to completely do this. But, oh, you like yours around 0.4. Yeah, that's fair. Like, I mean, the higher the numbers are, like, the faster it'll turn and shit like that. Just for a big clunky fucking ship like this, I don't know, like, I think we're going to be hard-pressed getting it to 0.4 without drastically increasing the size. I don't quite have the credits or the resources. Like, if these thrusters were made of Xanium instead of Trinium, we'd probably be closer to about 0.4. But I don't have the Xanium, I don't believe, to make that work. So, for the time being, we're gonna live with 0.25. Just in case you're watching this back on YouTube and you don't know where we're getting that 0.4 from. That's from Twitch chat, Fireblade212. They like theirs on 0.4. Nah, I get that, man. Like, totally. If you can make it happen, do it. Is kind of my motto with this. But let's see. So I want this a little shorter. And I mean, I know I said I didn't want a janky ass fucking ship. It's still gonna be janky ass because, yeah, I'm not that great at shipbuilding, in all honesty. People are way better at this than I am, but that's okay. It's still fun. Like, I enjoy this element of the game immensely, so thought we would share it. So there we go. It kind of has like some points and stuff like that, which look kind of weird, but that's fine. Go ahead, get those evened out. Now we can put hull on top of the fighter bays and on the sides. We just can't put it on the front, otherwise the fighters will not be able to exit and they will basically be useless. So I don't want a giant square. If I can pick the right dimension control, we might be able to do this. So there's that. I don't know. That's not too bad. I mean, it does have a decent amount of hull, 262. I'll take that. I guess, like, we could try to fill in these wings a little bit, would probably make it look better. So let's at least bring out this slightly, just to kind of enclose a little bit. So I'm going to switch to an edge here. Guess do that. Maybe rotate it? Something like that might look okay. Oh, well, that makes it a triangle. That's even better. Sure, we'll do that. That is too wide, unfortunately. Well, it says that I can place that until I undo it, so maybe if we break this one. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So now it kind of has like a little bit of a shape anyhow. Switch back to regular and try to fill that mess in. That's the only thing with mirrors. Sometimes they are fucking weird like this, and they'll leave like random gaps, and there's no reason for it because this is a symmetrical ship. Like, there shouldn't be a 2-slot gap like that, but there is, so just go through and fill it so it looks a little bit better. And I think we will, well, we still need to put on integrity fields, so we'll do that next. So there we go. I think we're good on hull for the time being. Or, well, we haven't covered these yet. JK. We're not done with hull yet. Sorry. I missed a couple places. And the only reason why I'm doing this you know, like trying to cover all the surfaces, is it does protect the blocks. So like, technically speaking, you can't lose blocks off your ship by like enemy damage if you're above 30% health, right? So if you get below 30% and they shoot your ship, you will, and you don't have your blocks covered like this, you stand to lose something that actually matters to the functionality, as opposed to just a piece of hull, which, you know, who gives a fuck about that, right? You can always get more hull. So I kind of like that. I actually kind of like that design. We got these recessed engines in here. We did drop a little bit, and we can throw another engine, so I think I'm going to. Like, we're gonna fit this baby out so it's fast. So let's do that. It looks pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, it's not bad to have overhang, I guess. It kind of gives it a little bit more dimension and texturing to the design. Granted, like, this is an ugly fucking ship. Like, we've got this weird, like, oblong octagon on the top. We've got this weird, like, swoopy thing with triangles coming out on this side. But I like how the hangers and the engines are kind of recessed a little bit. I think that looks kind of cool. So, whatever. It's good enough. I am a functional builder in this game, so this is a functional ship. That's what we were aiming for anyway. And it does serve its function. Like, it's a hell of a lot stronger than what we had. It's reasonably fast. The pitch did go down again, so we could potentially throw, like, if we threw some thrusters in here, that might make sense. So these need to shrink. Kind of like that. And we can make them wider. Kind of just recess it in there. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, that's not going to do what we want, I guess. It's just going to add roll, it looks like. So maybe a directional thruster is better. Because then you can control what it's giving you. So if we shrink that down, could maybe put 2 side by side. That's still only doing roll though. Huh. I would think that would give us pitch. Because it's not like it's on the... Well, whatever. That's fine. We'll just leave it as is, I guess. I guess let's try to fill this in a little bit so these tops are covered. It sometimes gets a little bit complicated to do this, so I don't always take the time to, you know, actually fill in all the holes here and there. Like, I'll just leave them because it doesn't necessarily hurt you all that much. But I figure, why not? Let's get it done right. And then I can actually use this template going forward. So it's not like it's a waste of time or anything. I mean, I could potentially use this ship for future playthroughs and things like that, and it should be viable still. You know. But you know what? We're just gonna leave those exposed. We'll have that one there, I guess. It's fine. I don't so I guess this ship isn't perfectly symmetrical is what the problem is, because it looks like some of the mirroring, like, applied weird, which is kind of annoying, because the whole point of using mirrors when you're building your whole, like, template, like we did at the start, is so you can use mirrors to fill in the top, but whatever. Alright, sure, good enough. Let's throw in one. And then we'll just kind of topper these, I think. So it's filled. But that's okay. I mean, we could color it, so you can actually, you know, like, color your ships if you want. I don't know, what do we want to color this? What do we think? I'm kind of thinking like a purple color, maybe? I could do blue. Blue's not bad. I kind of don't want to go with a red or a black just because this is such an ugly design. Like, I feel like those colors are reserved for ships that actually look good. So maybe this solar cyan, solar turquoise, spring green. What does this look like? No, I don't like that. Magenta? It's kind of a deeper color. Not bad. It's kind of like a whitish. Let's go with this one. Why not? And I'm just going to color it all one color. Like, you can get fancy with this if you really are so inclined. But it takes a while to color everything. So, we're just going to do one color today. And we might... let's do the center this color. And then we'll do a second color for the wings. Then it'll kind of have like a stripe type look, I guess. Which isn't terrible. That's the problem with using these like small whole pieces. You have to individually color each one, so it can get kind of tough to actually get all the pieces colored the way you want. I think that's how we want it. Yeah. Ish. Sure. Oh yeah, this one has the like random bar. That's fine. We'll color over that. So we are going to change these wings. Just let's see. We've got purple, so maybe like a greenish color might look kind of good. Like, what does this look like? I don't really like that. That's actually pretty good. I kind of like that. Let's do this. And I guess I could use the mirrors for this. That might speed things up a little bit. But since this isn't all symmetrical, supposedly, you know, even though it's supposed to be, it might not apply the coloring the way we want, so it's fine. We're only using, like, we're coloring, like, big areas the same thing, so it's not too hard to just hold the mouse and click through. In my opinion, I mean, if you don't want to do that, that's totally fine and understandable. But we got to get that piece, and then what was this? Solar magenta? Or medium orchid? Yeah, it was medium orchid. Okay. I guess we didn't get... we still have to put the integrity fields on this, huh? I almost forgot. Because that will make a big difference. That will increase our hull strength quite a bit. So let's go for integrity fields. And kind of the way I do this is I put big bars, kind of like that, and it will cover a large surface of the ship. So it'll apply to a lot of blocks, more or less. So let's do something like that. We'll get those. Then rotate it again. Something like that. Probably put a bar across the engines. And we'll have to do top and bottom, most likely, for a lot of this stuff. Just to get full coverage. Like, you want the whole ship to be blue. That's your goal with these. Otherwise, everything's not covered. So, bear that in mind. Do something like that. We can't quite put one there, but that's okay. Put them like this. And it doesn't hurt with the, like, you can kind of size these however you want, whatever works. Just make sure everything is blue. Otherwise, you're going to be disappointed. And it does kind of give some texture, like if you use these small blocks like this, it does kind of texture the ship a little bit because you got like random things sticking off of it, which, you know, if you don't know what the actual blocks are, it might look like antennas or sensor arrays or what have you. Now that is... oh, good. We had enough space. to fit that in. I was concerned about the hangars, because if you block the front, then they are useless. Since we don't have the back open, that is. If you have the back open, then it doesn't matter, I suppose, but whatever. So there we go. Cool. I think that's everything covered. I mean, like, the interior blocks probably aren't, but that's not as critical. You want all the whole blue for sure. But there we go. I think we got it at this point. Like, that decent-ish ship. I guess all the integrity generators are purple, but that's okay. I don't necessarily mind having a little bit of purple on the screen. So I'm just making sure everything got colored properly before I save it. But let's go ahead and save this as a template. You know, it's not the prettiest ship in the world, but... So there we go. Just in case you wanted to know the resource costs, 4.73 million, 64,000 iron, 172,000 trinium, 265,000 xanium. And it's a decent ship. I mean, it's not the best in the world by any stretch, but let's call this veteran carrier. Sure, why not? Cool. So now we need to crew this. We do have enough crew capacity, thank God, but we need 261 engineers and 205 mechanics plus all these fucking boys. So the one thing I almost forgot to do was to actually put the turret bases on. So we're gonna throw on a Xanian turret base roughly in the center that we can mount all of our turrets on. The highest level turret we're gonna find at this point until we cross the barrier is Xanian, so we'll just start with that. The reason why I didn't save the template with this turret base on there is because, let's say I cross the barrier and want to use this ship, I might have Avorion or Oganite level turrets at that point, so I'll need an Oganite or Avorion level turret base to place the turrets I want, so that's the reasoning behind that. So let's get our mining lasers back up. So we've got these two guys right there, cool. I don't have a single slot R mining. Oh, well, that's titanium though. It needs to be trinium or higher. I guess this is a single slot R. No, that's titanium too. If I can read, you know. Let's throw on our good Tesla turret. We've got 3 more slots, so we can throw in our next best turret. That's a 3 slot. This is a single slot, but I kind of want to have more than just Tesla. Fuck it. Who cares? Just put that on too. So there we go. It's outfitted with its turrets. Let's just go in and set those turret groupings real fast. So 1, 1, 1, and 2, and 2. And fuck, we did lose these systems, it looks like, which is interesting. They're probably just floating around the ship. Yeah, they are. Cool. So we picked up our transporter, install permanently, yes. Or well, that's not... Damn it. Now we need to go to a fucking equipment dock. Shit. Because I wanted the gold one. Okay, well. That's fine. Let's go ahead and see how much crew we can steal from this station over here. So we need... Oh, we can buy all these guys, I guess. I mean, I guess the problem we're going to run into is actually hiring the crew. I wonder if we're going to have enough money. We need 10 of these. So, commanders and generals, you do have to buy the specific guy to fill it. So, there we go. So, oh, cool. We don't need generals anymore. That is good. That is good. So, we need 2 commanders. Let's see. Does anyone in this sector have commanders? They have lieutenants, so we might pick those up. This guy has a fair amount of everything else, so we will go over there, I guess. But this ship's gonna fly really fucking slow for a minute, just because we don't have it fully staffed. Once we put the mechanics and engineers on board, you know, it'll be a lot better. So we'll take a look at that. Since we increased the size, you might want to What's the key? Is it Alt? Yeah. Alt will allow you to scroll where you're looking at on the ship. So I'm going to have it up here just so we're not blinded by the fucking engines while we're flying around too bad. And we can kind of see the front of the ship. I like that. It helps me steer, I guess, more than anything. So you can kind of play with that as you will. Anyway, so I am excited to get the crew for this because I'm curious to see, you know, how fast this is going to be. So let's hire all of these guys because we're going to need them. Gunners, we've got enough. So, I mean, realistically, we need to find commanders is the only big one. We'll just buy all these basic bitches because we're going to need them. Oh, geez. I think that's 63 that we need. Get the mechanics, cool. So mechanics is the crew type that you should prioritize first, because if you don't have all the mechanics required to run the ship, it will slowly take damage over time until it explodes. So bear that in mind. Let's take off the lieutenants and let's go hire the actual trained ones, because that might decrease the number of commanders we actually need. Once we get the engineers on here, the power will be a lot more stable than what it is. So that'll be nice. We are docked, great. And this one does have these, so we'll hire some of those. Let's try 3, 4. I guess we do need all 8. That's fine. Alright. I was hoping we'd get cheeky and be able to lower that too, but apparently not. So, what's left? We went to that trading post. Maybe this one has commanders? It does have generals, but no commanders. So, looks like we're gonna have to warp, I guess. Now, I think there was a military... I know military academies will have commanders. I thought I went to a sector that had one. I don't really see it, though. Fuck it. We'll go to this one. It has a lot of stations. If you're looking to crew your ship, just look for a sector with a lot of different station types. That tends to be kind of best practice, because odds are you'll be able to find the crew types that you're looking for. And if not, there's enough stations there we can buy the basic guys to fill in the mechanics at least. So let's see. Any of you homies have commanders? You sure do. Great. And we can even hire them, guys. We can even hire those commanders. Can you believe it? Hopefully we don't run out of power to our engines before we get there. But whatever. See what happens. So, there we go. Ran out of battery, but that's okay. Need 2 of those. And I mean, I could just fill this with regular guys, but there's enough stations here, I should be able to buy the specialized crew. You would think, anyway. I mean, maybe not. That could be complete BS. So that has 57. So that would be nice. And we can't... Well, we can't. Yeah, you can only request transports if you need over 300 crew. So that is a shame, because that is a really far away station. Fuck it. We'll just buy some basic guys. That'll get us close. Let's just add all of them. Well. Cool. There we go. So I think that's reasonably good. Like, we got it all staffed up now, so that's good. Let's take a look at our system slots. So we did unlock up to 9 with this, because our processing power is pretty good. So if we take a look at the stats, processing power 28.53k. So we'd have to add another 3,000 processing power to get the next slot, which wouldn't be too bad. Like, if we expanded those wings another little bit. That would probably get us there, but that's fine. I did have a generator upgrade on this, I want to say, so if we put that back in, it'll probably solve our power problem. Yeah, there we go. So even with recharging, we're at 60%. So we'll leave that in for now. It's not optimal, like it's better if you don't have to use generator upgrades, but that's alright. We don't really need the unarmed slots. And we really don't need this either, because we've got a gold one installed. I just was blind and didn't see it, I guess. This will increase our jump range and could give us cooldown. But now that we've got these extra slots, we can do more stuff, right? So that's kind of cool. So we'll put back in our object detector just because it's good to have that. I think we will install this green hyperspace upgrade just to decrease our cooldown by a little bit, so it gives us 12% reduction, and it increases our jump range by 6. So that'll be pretty good. Outside of that, I mean, we could consider putting on like a shield converter. That'll make us even stronger. Like we're at what was it, like just over 1 million shields, something like that. So yeah, 1.05. So if we throw this in there, that will take us to 1.35. That's kind of tempting. If we install it, it'll add another 25%. I really want, if we take this out, that'll leave us one more slot that we can put armed turret slots on. So I only have unarmed turret systems except for this one, which is a waste of a slot. So, okay. Let's go find an equipment dock and remove that system. Let's do that. So, no. I think there's maybe one down here. Yeah. There is one right there. So let's just fly down there. But we are a lot stronger now, primarily because we've got all of the shields on this ship. So I feel confident we could probably go out to Iron Titanium regions now and actually do some pirating. We've got a ship that's good enough. If we get a good armed turret system, as well as some better, damage turrets, we could also increase our DPS quite a bit with this. So, cool. That worked out. I'm glad we took the time to kind of build this out. Obviously, we kind of spent through all of our Xanian and, 4 million credits, but I think it's worth it. All things considered, it's worth it. So I hope that was kind of useful in showing you how I design ships. I mean, it'd be great to upgrade all the engines and the thrusters to Xanian, because it will increase the speed and our, pitch, yaw, and roll, which would be nice, so it'd become more maneuverable and faster, but we can do that as we get more Xanian. We just didn't quite have enough, unfortunately. So let's fly over to the equipment dock. Nice. We can still boost while the warp core is charging, so that is good. That's always a good test for your generators. If you can do that, you're probably in pretty good shape. So this is armed or unarmed. That's not very good, honestly. So they don't have any turret stuff. What about actual turrets? It's a physical turret, 600 DPS. That's not terrible. This one is better though, at 1,000. Costs less. I guess it's a Trinium versus Xanian, so that's fine. So we could consider picking this up. I don't really have the slot to install it right now, and it will cost us basically all of our money, but that might be worth buying. Yeah, I think we're gonna buy that chain gun. Are we not docked? We are docked. Oh, we had to pay crew. Of course, because we're looking to fucking buy something. So let's just remove that real quick. We can take a look and see if we can sell some stuff and kind of get there. So I don't want these titanium lasers. This turret I'll keep. That's a trinium. Neonites, I don't really need either. These are just trash for the most part. Same with that. This railgun turret, like, railguns are good, but that's a garbage turret, so we're gonna sell it. Another titanium mining, sell. We'll get rid of that. Iron salvaging we don't want. That we don't want. This cargo upgrade is kind of worthless because it's a base increase as opposed to a percentage, so we'll get rid of that. Internal defense weapons are only worth it if you're going at orange or higher, and I'm not worried about that either. So, what else have we got? We could get rid of this hyperspace. I mean, this is giving us, like, no money, but whatever. Might as well get rid of it now. Like, it just takes up space. You can store up to 1,000 systems at a time, but if you wait until you have 1,000 and then start selling, it takes a long time to work through the list. Like, a really long time. So we're not going to deal with that. Alright. I think that's pretty good. It got us enough so we can buy our turret, so I guess that's what I care about. There we go. So I can't equip it yet. We need to get a better system for arm turrets first, but we do have an empty slot here that we can put a arm turret system in, and we could upgrade these green systems too. Like, we could upgrade this green to this orange, and it'll give us another 3 slots. So while we're here, let's go ahead and do that. So we'll go ahead and throw that in. So now we can house 6 slots of unarmed turrets as opposed to only 3. And then I think you get +2 on the base, so that's 8 total slots. So that's good. We could potentially throw another couple our mining lasers on this ship now if we want, or a salvaging laser, whatever makes more sense. I don't have a better armed turret, so that doesn't really matter. I think we will leave it. So, oh, we already have a shield converter. Fuck it. We'll have this second one in there. We won't permanently install it, but if we really want to get beefy, so like let's take a look at this. We've got 1.35. If we throw this one on here, that takes us to 1.57. So that's not bad. Like, we could totally run with this setup. You know, if we're doing combat specifically, and that would be pretty good. So we'll leave it like that until we need the extra system slots. We've got 2 that aren't permanently installed that we can pull out at any time. Not a big deal. The only downside is those extra slots did increase our generator usage. I don't think this one, or well, it maybe had a generator upgrade, but it's the same as the one we've got, so that doesn't really matter to us. I did kind of want to get a radar upgrade so we can see the yellow systems. I mean, this one's only green, but yeah, we'll buy it, I guess. We're not going to perma install it, I don't think. We're just going to leave it, because when we get a better color, so like blue or yellow, we're going to upgrade that. But now, if we look at the map, well, there's no yellow systems around us, I guess. We only have a 2-sector range, so that's not very big either, I guess, but whatever. So we have upgraded our ship. That's kind of what I wanted to get accomplished for this stream. So I'm glad we got that done. Now we can I guess what might make the most sense is looking for more asteroids, getting some more Xanian and stuff, and looking for claimable asteroids is more specifically what I mean, because we need some monies so we can start building our own mines and generating credits passively. So let's go ahead and warp around a little bit and see if we can, encounter a couple of claimable asteroids to sell. When we're this close to the barrier, they sell for like 300,000-ish, so that's not bad. I wish we had a better radar upgrade, in all honesty, because the one we've got has like no range, so it's almost worthless, but whatever, it's fine. But, I mean, we've got this big-ass honking ship now. Take a look at it. So, it looks reasonably good. I mean, I guess it's not just a giant cube, so that's a positive. Um, it is kind of a weird shape, I will admit, but that's alright. You know, in theory, these guys are aliens. They're not necessarily human, so you would kind of expect them to have a weird-looking fucking ship, right? I don't know. Whatever. Let's go to this one. They have a warp gate that flies us across, so that might be useful. Cool. Go ahead and keep on warping. Woo. Super fun. But now I feel a lot more confident. Like, if pirates attack the system, for example, we actually could go over and, you know, fight them a little bit better now because we won't get killed right away. So that is nice, I will say. So this one isn't attached to anything. Okay, let's fly into it. Just check it out. The only downside, since our ship is a lot bigger, it does have a longer warp cooldown, even with the reduction we get from our little green system that we have installed. So that's kind of a bummer because you have to sit in the same place for a little bit, but you know, pros and cons. We can jump pretty far now, and realistically speaking, we needed a bigger ship, so it's alright. I am happy about the cargo capacity on this ship too. I think it's over 4,000, right? If I can find the stat. Cargo hold, 4.26k, right here, so yeah. We could put fighters on this, that's not a bad thing either. And what we could do to upgrade this ship even further is we could change out kind of the big engine on the sides here, on either side, to manufactories, or assemblies, I think is what they're called, assemblies. And then you only have to buy one fighter that you really want, you blueprint it inside your hangar, and then you can manufacture them yourself, assuming you've got the resources to do so. So that could be pretty good. We could start building up some R mining fighters or something if we come across some good ones. We need to get some more money though, so we could actually buy the, you know, ships, and we would have to mine some Xanian to be able to build them, because it does cost the resources that the ship is made out of to manufacture them, but that's okay. We can definitely do that. So yeah, there is an asteroid that we can sell. Cool. Go ahead and fly on over. Not a big deal. I mean, I guess we're still doing okay. So 79%. I guess we took out that second shield upgrade, huh? But we'll go ahead and claim this, and then I think I'm going to mine this trinium and xanium that's here, just because, might as well. But as you can see, we do have some reversibility with this ship, because we have those directional thrusters that we place front and back, or facing front and back. If you don't have those, you won't be able to reverse, so it is worth at least having one. We have 3, I think, so it goes a little bit faster, so that's nice. It's all about, you kind of just have to kind of decide what you want the ship to be able to do, I guess, when you're designing it, and build it accordingly. But it's kind of fun, you know. The more blocks you add, the more energy you're going to need, generally speaking, and the more thrusters and stuff like that you're going to need as well, because as the ship increases inside, it takes more power to move it. But I'm pretty happy with how this one turned out. Like I said, normally I design all my ship templates in creative mode, because then I can, you know, put exactly what I want on it and not have to worry about running out of resources while I'm designing the template. But it's okay. It was kind of fun building it in survival, just so you know, a little bit new experience, I guess, for me. And it's probably a little bit closer to what you're going to be doing if it's your first time playing through and you don't have templates to play with already. Because you may not know to make a creative game to design your ships in. And I guess you don't have to. Like, if you have the resources available and you want to stick to a budget, doing it in your actual game that you're playing might be preferable because you won't be able to exceed your resource limit or your credit limit. So, uh, you know, pros and cons to each. Anyway, so I'm just gathering this stuff up because we need to replenish some of the stuff or some of the resources we spent to build the ship. So that's all I'm doing here, gathering a little bit of ore. I would like to get a mining system for this ship, would be amazing now, because we've got the extra slot for it, A, and B, it will really help us when we're going around and trying to, you know, build up some more Xanian, Trinian, and stuff like that. Like, I would enjoy, like, I want to get a fair amount more Xanian, like, we probably need another 200,000 in order to do what I want, but I want to upgrade all the engines and thrusters on this ship to Xanian from Trinium, because that will help a lot as far as the maneuverability and the speed and stuff like that's concerned. So, like, that is the next upgrade we should be making. Keeping the integrity field generators at Trinium is fine. Like, we could probably upgrade those to Xanium right now, but it's not going to make that big of a difference, in all honesty. Like, they pretty much do the same. Like, it might give us a little bit more hull, but in all honesty, like, I'm not too concerned about the hull rating on this ship. It was more of a focus on making sure we've got enough shields. So we have enough shields, so I'm happy. Cool. So we mined some stuff out. I mean, it's not that critical. Like, we're not going over this sector with a fine tooth comb or anything, but anyhow. Just drift into this asteroid, I guess. What's that? Yeah, my dog came over. She wanted some attention. Been playing too long, that's what she's saying. Saying you were supposed to be paying attention to me at all times. Yeah. Good dog. Here you go, buddy. She's a great dog. I love my dog. Anyway. So, I mean, I guess we're at 217 on the time, so we might end up calling it here for today pretty soon. Like, we'll probably go to a resource depot and refine the ores that we have gathered in this sector and then call it. Just because I don't know about you, but playing straight for 2.5 hours recording, it's a fair amount of time. Like, I guess the other ones, or the other streams that we've done thus far have been like 3.5 hours, so we could keep pushing, but I mean, basically what I'm doing right now is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the stream. Mining asteroids, refining resources, finding claimable asteroids and selling them, so we might pick that back up in the next one, in all honesty. And really, I'd like to fly this ship out to the Iron regions and start pirating, because even though our DPS isn't super great with this ship, we have enough shields that I'm confident that we can at least take out some smaller or less guarded sectors. Not smaller-ly, I don't know, that's not a word. Anyway, and that would be good, because pirating is the best way to make money, especially early game. But we aren't powerful enough to fight the ships in this region of space, but we should be powerful enough to fight the ships in the Iron region, I would think. I mean, we took a look, like they do 3k DPS, so with 1.3 million shields. Oh man, so 33. I think it would be like 6.5 minutes, if my math is right, for them to take our shields down, assuming they're doing 3k DPS the entire time. So that's a pretty good window to be able to take out like 4 or 5 ships. Which we should be able to do because the ships out there, they don't have shields, they just have hull. So we might take a look at that, because we really do need to start gathering some credits at this point in the game, because even if we gather all these resources, we won't really be able to equip it without more money, and unfortunately we need a lot more money to really get to the next tier of ship and stuff like that. So I think that's probably what we're going to do next. I might explore a little bit more of the sectors close to the barrier, just to see if I can come across equipment docks with better turrets, maybe some armed turret systems potentially, so we could increase our DPS just a little bit more. Like if I could get between 5 and 10k DPS before we go out and start pirating, that would be optimal, because we should be able to take out most ships in like 1 or 2 shots at that point, right? Whereas right now, it'll take us a little bit longer than that to go through most of the ships out there. I don't remember what their hull's at. I want to say it's like maybe 60k, something like that. But even so, if you're only doing 2,000 damage a second, it's still going to take, 30 seconds, I guess, to kill each ship. So if you only have 5 minutes of shield, that's only gonna give you enough time to kill 10 ships, assuming that your weapons are up the entire time, which ours won't be because they are Tesla turrets, so they do overheat and have to recharge. So we need some more turrets on this, most likely, before we go pirate. If we want to do it comfortably, I mean, we could totally handle it in this ship now, I'm pretty sure. If you're gonna pirate for money, like, you want to be able to kill shit really fast. Otherwise, it takes too long and it's not really worth it. So, it's not that it's not worth it. It's just your time would be better spent going and finding better turrets or better systems to make your ship stronger. So, we'll do that. Like, we'll see if we can find some more asteroids to sell, get a little bit more money, find some more turrets at equipment docks, and then we'll go out and pirate. And once we start pirating, we'll be able to get, 20 million credits relatively quickly. Once we get 10 million, I'm going to try to build a gold platinum mine. And as far as, like, your mine locations are concerned, like, it doesn't matter how close to the center you are necessarily. It depends more upon how much demand there is for the resource you're mining. So let's go back over here. I think the faction that's attached to this sector is yellow standing or bad standing with us, so I guess that's fine. They won't attack us on sight, so not a big deal. We just won't be able to trade with them is the only downside. But we might be able to find some asteroids, and we can build up that reputation a little bit. Since they have a gate in here, it's these guys right here. So we have to push a lot to get into neutral, honestly. So maybe we won't go over there. Fuck that. I don't want to work on building faction rep right now. I don't have the credits to do the free slave mission. Like, I have some credits, but I don't want to spend them on free slaves right now because I'm trying to save them for turrets. So we are just gonna go up this way and stay in the neutral. Well, this is a good standing faction, but the good and neutral standing factions that we know are nearby, and just see how many sectors are around them that we haven't explored yet, and hopefully find some more asteroids to sell. Because the higher your faction standing or your reputation is with the faction, you get less reputation built for selling asteroids to them, but in return you get more credits out of the sell. So it is worth selling. So, like, selling an asteroid to these guys is going to be worth more than selling an asteroid to the neutral guys that we know are nearby. So Let's take a look at their fighters. So they do have... Well, that's a Trinium. They do have a Xanian R mining fighter. We could pick one up. We don't have the assemblies built, but if we pick up this fighter, once we build an assembly, we can build strings and strings of them, and that would be pretty damn good. So I think we're gonna fly over and pick that up. They don't have very good turrets at the moment. I didn't look at their systems. Unarmed. They do have a blue object detector. That's not really worth upgrading to. It's only worth upgrading that if it's a red one, I want to say, or exotic level, because then it will give you the direction of the object and highlight it for you within this sector, as opposed to like 4 kilometers away or whatever, which I think is what that blue one was saying it'll do. So pro tip on that, you don't have to upgrade it. Like, more or less I just want one on for the marking ability more than anything. So we'll buy... Oh, I have to make a squadron. So to buy fighters, you have to go into your hangar and make a new squad, and we're gonna call this R Miners because that's what's going in it. Cool. And then if we go back in, select the fighter we want, the Xanian R Miner. It's only a 69.4 efficiency, 4.3 DPS. So it's not super great on the efficiency. Like this Trinium one's an 80, almost 82%. But the fact that it's Xanian makes it worth it. So we'll buy that. Fuck it. It's worth it, I think. So I'm gonna warp up to this sector because we have to take this gate to get across that rift. And we're gonna kind of push over to the right, relative to where we're located right now, and kind of explore that region of space, because there's at least a sector there. There's some stuff up this way. We can go over to this neutral faction and kind of work our way around the circle, right? So that should work out decently well for us. So is it east, southeast? Yeah. We'll do that, but I am glad that we found a Xanian R mining fighter right away. Sometimes those are fucking difficult to find. Like, I don't know why, but they rarely have R mining fighters. Like, normally it's just regular mining fighters, which are great, but we've got a cargo bay on this ship, and I would rather have the increased efficiency, in all honesty. Like, it makes more sense, especially if it's a fighter. Like, if you're going to build, 50 of them or whatever, you want it to do good. So here's another equipment dock. Ooh, I can't afford this, unfortunately. So this does have trade routes, so that's not bad. This one does give us radar and hyperspace cooldown. I think we'll buy this blue warp system, or hyperspace system, whatever they want to call it, because it's better than the green one. And it gives us radar range, which we are lacking. So that will be nice for us. So, and we'll keep the green one still equipped. Like, that's totally fine. That's not a big deal. We've got the slots at this point to have 2 of those. And then the reduction in time will stack. So I'd love to be able to buy this Tesla turret. It's another 1,500. So we could have 2 of these bad mammas on our ship and be at 3K. But I can't afford it, so that is fine. Let's go ahead and install... We'll take out this radar upgrade because this is going to give us more anyway. Install permanently. Cool. There we go. And now, if there were yellow sectors around here, it would highlight them on the map for us at a farther distance. So, cool. That actually was a good find. I am okay with that. So we need to go through this south gate. And then it'll be east after that. In order to keep going the direction we want. I mean, it doesn't, like, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter. We just need to find some more sectors. And honestly, we should be going into the yellow sectors now that we can highlight them on the map. Because those will give us a higher likelihood of finding sellable asteroids than the green ones. So let's do this. We will go through this warp gate. I guess the one thing I will say, if I was gonna like tweak something about this design for our ship, I would make the generator slightly bigger. Like I'd be aiming more for like 200 gigawatts or giga. I think it's measured in gigawatts. I'd aim for 200 as opposed to the 170 or whatever we've got. Yeah, we got 173. I'd aim for 200 because if we had 200 just base on this ship, we wouldn't need the generator upgrade in order to stay above. Like, we probably could take that off and still be fine while we're recharging our warp core, because I believe both of the warp systems we've got decreases the energy cost to recharge our ship by a little bit, so it probably would be okay now, but I'm gonna keep it in there. It's better to have a little bit of excess energy generation so you can still fly around. Like, we're at 80%. Like, what does this system even give us? I guess it gives us 51%, so maybe we wouldn't be okay. I don't know. That's alright. So, nothing too interesting in this sector, unfortunately. If we go up to this one and go through the warp gate. Actually, I don't know why I'm doing that. I should just use the warp gates because we're going to be sitting here for 30 seconds otherwise. It's not that bad. It's only 800 credits. Like, that is not that much. I can sell 200 Xanian and make that back easy peasy. So, no worries. We'll just take the warp gate. Because if we go up north, it looks like that's a fairly distant sector. So hopefully it will be surrounded by like 8 or 9 new systems we can check out that has stuff inside of it, right? That's the hope. We are going to stop at this resource depot real quick before we go through the gate and refine the ore that is in our hold. And there is an equipment dock in this sector too, so we can at least look and see what they got. I mean, we don't have a lot of money, but we could potentially sell some of the trinium we've got on our ship to make some if we need it. But it's kind of good to check these equipment docks out as you pass them, because they're few and far in between, so they might have something really good that you want. Like this tractor beam upgrade, if you wanted a tractor beam upgrade, that's not bad. I mean, it's only 9,000 credits too. This turret control unarmed. This isn't armed, that's blue. So we could buy that, I guess. 112, like it'll take basically all of our money, but that's alright. We could buy this, well, yeah, I think we'll just pass at this point. So, they got a triple railgun. Not that great. Sometimes you'll find like really amazing turrets at equipment docks and stuff, so that's why I say it's worth taking the time to look. Alright, so we need to go through the north gate, which is probably this one, northeast, yep. That is the one. 6,500 creds, that's okay. Got a little bit of trinium and xanium out of that refinery run, so that's cool. Got a little bit more goods in the tank anyway. It would be good to set up some R mining auto miners, I will say, just because that will increase the amount of resources we're actually gathering. So that's kind of a weird layout. Interesting. Okay, whatever. We'll go over to this one, I guess. Might as well. It's not linked with the warp gate as far as I can tell, so maybe it will have a sellable asteroid. That'd be cool. I could use the money. Nope. It is an asteroid field, but no sellables. Now this might be a different faction, potentially. So we will warp over here. Doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of just exploring around for the most part right now. Because I need the asteroids. Like, that's what I'm looking for. More than anything. Like, I don't know. Like, finding some better DPS turrets would be great, but I can't afford to buy them right now. Like, any turret that's going to be worth our time is going to cost close to 1,000,000 credits. So we need to find at least 3 asteroids before we can even afford those. So, whatevs. We'll get there. It's not the end of the world. But now there is a burst of subspace signals, so potentially we might be able to get some turrets out of a pirate fight, which could be good. Sometimes the drop well, if you get lucky, the drop turrets tend to be better than what you can buy at the equipment dock, and better yet, they don't cost you anything. So that could be good. That, and I am kind of interested to see how our ship handles stuff in this region. You know, maybe we could actually do some pirate fights out here. I mean, even though we don't have crazy DPS, I doubt that they're going to be rocking enough DPS to drop our 1,000,000 shields. And really, it's 1.3 million shields. Anyway. Another mining sector, no asteroid though. Whoa, there is a lot of shit in here. Look at that. Look at all these sectors. Cool. That is good. It gives us a lot to explore, and it probably is a new faction, so for each faction you can potentially find around 15 sellable asteroids within their territory. So finding a new faction means we've got another potential 15 asteroids to go claim and sell, which is great. And, you know, who knows? Maybe we won't sell all of them, and we will keep at least one. Well, we won't claim it, but we'll keep one available to us, and we'll mark the sector with a note. And we'll come back and make that our first mine, because there is a lot of systems around here, which means that there should be a fair amount of starship traffic, which should in turn mean that we'll be able to sell from the mine that we place in this region of space relatively quickly, which would be good. As far as our mines go, when we do set one up, I'm just going to use my station template that I've got, because I know that it works. It's super cheap. It's like 400k to build. It's got like 5 million holes, so nothing will fucking attack it. And it takes 15 crew to run, something like that. Which costs nothing. You can hire it at the station, actually. So we're going to do that, just because it's cheaper than trying to like design a new template and all that shit. I'll show you kind of what you can do if you don't have a space station template set up yet, because it is worth noting, like, it's good to get the template for the asteroid to use. So we'll talk about that when we get to that stage. So nothing super great. Can't buy most of the stuff here because we're not that good of a standing. So it is kind of good that this is a neutral sector. So there are more subspace signals. We're gonna wait in this sector for those pirates to warp in. I'm hoping that it's pirates, because if it is, it means that we will get reputation and money from this faction, the Udnua, I guess. And this is their home system too. So that's their headquarters. You can see. That's kind of cool. And we're almost to good. I mean, we only need 1,500 more rep to get to good with these guys, which will unlock our ability to buy almost everything from the equipment dock. The only exception would be like exceptionally good items. They won't sell to you, but that's okay. If you get it to good, faction, reputation, standing, like, you can buy pretty much everything. So these are Zotans. We could attack them. Oh, those are fucking weak. And that's a savage? Wow. That is jank. Normally the Zotan are fucking strong as shit. Yeah, we're gonna go destroy some of these. I think you get an increased turret drop chance if you actually destroy the ships yourself, so... We're gonna try to destroy some of these guys. We got the shields. I'm not worried about 300 Omicron. No sweat. Not with a million shields. They'll be sitting there for fucking ever. So our turrets need to recharge. That's okay, though. Nothing dropped off of him, really. I mean, those little gold blobs are credits, so I guess... Sure, we'll take the 250 credits, which is nothing, but... Anyway. This guy did look to drop a turret, though. In addition to a couple systems, so... Yeah, he dropped a chain gun turret. Let's just peek at the DPS on that. Not very good. Okay. Kinda to be expected. I mean, they weren't very strong, so whatever. We totally could have dealt with them on our own. Like, we did not need the faction's help for that fight, but that's fine. I didn't want to get into a big pirate battle just because we don't have a lot of DPS, so we might have, you might end up getting overwhelmed or something like that. And anyhow, so what? There is an asteroid in here, it looks like. Yep, there he is. Cool. Claim and sell. And this is actually a decent mining sector. It's got a big blue one. Fair amount of Xanian. I want to see if they have a big Xanian asteroid in here. Because if so, I might consider building an auto miner to put in here. So 278. Sure, we'll take it. So I don't see a big Xanian. Normally there's only one big resource asteroid per sector, but... No, there is a big Xanian too. Wow, this is a fucking great sector. I'm gonna add a note here, because we should totally set up a... Put a auto miner in this sector. Anyway. I think that asteroid sale got us to friendly rep with this faction too, so that is good. Now we can buy basically everything from the trading or the equipment dock, and we can get captains here if we want them. So great, that's nice. That's nice. Just waiting for a jump route to calculate. Guess it doesn't like that sector. Fine. Go to this one then. But anyway, I mean, until you get your first mine set up, this is kind of what the game is. You gotta warp around and grind credits more than anything else. Like, we could have mined out that sector ourselves with our ship. That's totally a viable thing. I just didn't really feel like doing more mining at this point. Like, I think our time's better spent searching for more asteroids. No equipment dock, but there is a turret factory. Cool. So I think we'll take the gate to go to one of these sectors. Where is the gate? There we go. South-southwest. I think that's the direction I wanted to go. But yeah, not too bad. Whoop. Oh, it's still being generated. That's fucking nice. So let me just take a big hit on my hull because the fucking game didn't want to load the sector. That's the dumbest thing. Like, when I say that the downside of this game is the like network stuff, this is what I'm talking about. This is the network stuff. Like, the galaxy's been loaded for almost 3 hours, and it doesn't have the fucking sector set up? Come on. What the hell is that? So I guess we'll just sit inside of this fucking warp gate like a scrub. Wait for it to figure its shit out. Come on. Do I have to pop out and go back in? Ugh. So aggravating. Fine. I guess that sector's off limits because it doesn't want to fucking load. So we'll just warp to this one, I guess. Assuming it loads. You know. Apparently there's too much shit around here. I don't know. Anyway, that's fine. Well, I guess that worked out because this one has an asteroid in it for us. So, yay. Yep, there he is. Go claim it, sell it, get another 200,000 to 300,000. It'll probably be closer to 300k now that we're friendly rep with these guys. I think every time you change faction rep standing, so from like neutral to good, good to excellent, the asteroid sell price increases as well. So like optimally you would be selling asteroids to excellent standing factions, but it takes a while to get that, and when you're playing on the higher difficulty levels, you start out at lower faction rep. So, anyway, go to this one next. We're getting closer to 1,000,000 creds, guys. We're getting closer. Then we can actually buy, you know, another good turret, potentially. I mean, granted, we need to get an armed turret system. So, we probably need a little bit more than a mil. I think the yellow one, or it was a blue one maybe, was 200k, 250k if I'm remembering right. So, we probably want like 1.5 mil so we can buy a gold one. So, what have we got? There's the asteroid. There is a refinery or resource depot here, so that's not bad. Probably means there aren't a lot of mineable asteroids, even though it's an asteroid field. Or there might be mineable asteroids, but we can only see them with a mining system. Which we don't have, so that's alright. Come back later. Can potentially put this in the loop for the auto miner we want to set up in this area. Cool. Got that done. This, I don't know. Are we gonna go 3 for 3? I'm finding asteroids? That would be fucking dope. I don't know. I'm normally not that lucky though. We will find out. RNG. Be our friend. RNG was our friend, it looks like. Cool. Maybe there's even 2 in this sector. There are a lot of asteroids, so it's possible. Stranger things have happened. God. Anyway, it's kind of fun though. Like, I do enjoy flying around a fresh designed ship as well, just because you kind of get a feel for how it maneuvers and how long it takes to stop and stuff like that, which is useful if you're going to go into combat. Because if you're used to a small ship that's super maneuverable and you upgrade to a big ship that's not so maneuverable, you may not be prepared to actually fight with it. Let's try this one out here. Anyway, that's just, for me, that's how it kind of works anyway. I guess if you're better at playing than I am, maybe you wouldn't have that issue, but either way. Ugh. Sorry, my contact is like, driving my eye crazy. So, we're getting close to that 3-hour mark. We're probably going to call it around the 3-hour mark, I think. Just because that feels like a good length. And then, you know, we'll pick up at some other point for the next stream. But anyway, I hope you guys have kind of enjoyed the live stream today. Or if you're watching it on YouTube, I hope you've enjoyed the episode, whatever you want to call it. I definitely have enjoyed making it. We did have a fair amount of gains. I mean, we got some good resources at the start from mining. We upgraded our ship significantly to a fresh template. I mean, this is... I guess it's kind of similar to the ships that I've got, but I definitely don't have any ships with the fucking octagon in the center like that. So that's kind of fun. I don't know. I think it's a decent looking ship. Like, it's not the best in the world by any means, but it's decent. It's decent. Not a cube, anyhow. And it has the million shields that we wanted, and it has a decent sized cargo bay, and it can carry fighters. So probably what I'm going to spend this Xanian on. And actually, we could actually take a look at that. Fuck it. Before we end, let's take these two bad mammas off. Or actually, let me undo that. And I want a assembly. Where is that at? Academy, clone pods, assembly. And we are going to transform these blocky boys into Xanian assemblies. Or, well, I can only do one, I guess. How much is that going to give us? 855. I guess that's decent. Sure. Do that. Why not? That kind of looks weird now. So what we could do is turn that to a cloning pod. And then we could clone our own crew. Which would be good because, or well, it'd be better to have an academy, I guess. So we could train pilots. Whoops. Fuck it. Oh, done now. Okay. But now, what that means is if we go into our hangar and move this bad mama right here, it'll destroy the fighter, but it gives us a blueprint. So every 5 minutes 43 seconds at a cost of 5,508 Xanian, I can build one of those R mining fighters. So we are going to go ahead and turn that on and start filling up some squadrons of R mining fighters. That way, we can go into a asteroid field with a bunch of mineable asteroids and send out all these fighters to go harvest them for us. And we don't have to use our mining lasers anymore, which is good because we can take off our Trinium R lasers and our Xanian R laser that we've got on the ship right now and put those on an auto miner and build our first R mining auto miner, which would be nice because it will... Not only will we gather resources faster with our main ship, but we also will be able to get more resources with the R mining auto miner ship when compared to a regular miner ship. So that's good. As far as the academy goes, if we had some basic crews, which we don't, we could train them into these roles. We can train 50 at a time, which actually isn't too bad. Normally people put the academies and the assemblies and stuff on stations, but since we're still quite a ways away from that, I'm going to keep it on the ship. And besides, I kind of like having it on the ship because then I can, you know, train crew and all that noise as I go. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 50 of our engineers off, and I'm gonna train up 36 pilots, and that gives us another 14 we can train as something else. So I think we'll train up 14 mechanics, because that one's a little bit lower. And there we go. So now, it does cost power to do this, so bear that in mind. You've got to have some generator capacity. But over time, these guys will slowly train, and once they're done training, we'll have 36 pilots, and we'll also have 14 trained mechanics. When you have more, like for example on mechanics, we've got all these little bars here, right? So 69 are untrained, that's this whitish area. 55 are level 1, which is this area. 24 are level 2, and 8 are level 3. When you have more mechanics than are required, it will slowly train up your crew to become better until they're all level 3. So by adding in more level 1 mechanics, it's going to increase the total amount of mechanics that we've, or like mechanic manpower, I guess you could call it, that we have on the ship, which will make them more effective at their job. I want to have my mechanics and my engineers capped at 130% because it provides bonuses to your ship. So on mechanics, 130% increases the recovery rate or repair rate of your ship when it takes damage to the hull. And then on the engineers, I believe having 130% increases the total amount of speed and energy generated on the ship. So having both of those things is really good, especially if you're going to be doing combat. Specifically on the mechanics, it's good to have 130% if you're going to do combat, because you recover faster and you go faster. In addition, when you have trained crew, they yield more like workforce per unit, right? That's what it says there. So a level 3 is 2.5, a level 2 is 2, and a level 1 is 1.5, whereas a basic crew is just 1. So basically what that means, we need 207 mechanics. If we hire just regular untrained guys, we need 207 people, crew-wise. If we hired level 2, or if we had level 2, we'd only need 104 mechanics. And if we had them level 3, it'd be like 60 or 70 maybe. So you can decrease the amount of crew that your ship requires to fly if you have all of your crew trained up really well. So in doing this, I will slowly be able to reduce the amount of crew that are mechanics and engineers and allocate them into other places without expanding my crew quarters, right? So that's pretty good in my opinion. That's why I think it's worth having the academy on your ship, because you can increase the workforce production increase rate that you get beyond just having excess manpower for each job. So like if I had 208 mechanics and I require 207, over time they will slowly become trained as mechanics and I'll require less. Well, if I academy 50 guys at a time, it will skip the initial stage of training them from untrained to trained, which is good. So selling that asteroid just got us over 1 million credits, just barely, but that's good. Looks like we're outside of the Xanian zone now, maybe. I don't know. Guess it doesn't really matter. This one's probably another asteroid field. That's my guess. So we'll go over there. And what's cool is we are going to need to mine some Xanian. Like, I can't just rely on the fighters, because it costs 5,500 Xanian for each fighter that we build. A full squadron, or full squad, I think is what they call it in this game, takes 12 pilots to staff. So by training the 36 pilots we set up in the academy, we'll be able to have 3 full squads of our mining fighters ready to rock and roll, which is a decent number. Personally, if you're gonna use mining fighters, it's not really worth it until you have 3 squads worth of fighters, in my opinion. So we're training enough pilots for that. Optimally, like I like to have 5 or 6 squads of mining fighters, because then they just chew through the asteroids a lot faster, and you can go about your life a little bit quicker. Anyway, that's just my kind of rough guidelines on using mining fighters. There's probably some fucking algorithm or something out there that's a little bit more accurate than that, but 3 squads of a mining fighter or salvaging fighter tends to be a pretty good sweet spot for where it feels worthwhile to utilize them. With that being said, once this sector loads, we'll see if there's an asteroid, and if there is, great, we'll go claim it and sell it and end the episode. If not, which there isn't, we'll probably just wrap up. Well, let's check this equipment dock first, I guess. See what they got. Armed or unarmed, not worth it. Generator upgrade, not worth it. So, garbage systems all in all. That's trash. Trash. Well, yeah, it's 2 slots, so trash. So, not very good turrets either, unfortunately. As far as, like, the attack fighters go, the only ones worth having are railgun fighters, because they have a fairly good range. So this is almost 11 kilometers worth of range, whereas this is only 5.3. And the reason why the range is significant on the fighters is because fighters move really fucking slow, so they will never be able to catch up to the enemy ships you're in battle with if you're trying to use them to fight. So yeah, only railgun fighters are viable as a combat fighter, in my opinion. And even then, normally it's not worth using combat fighters, just because most of the AI ships have a bunch of anti-fighter, anti-torpedo, or point defense cannons, which will shoot them down, and then you have to either rebuild them or go buy more, which kind of sucks. So yeah, I don't think I've really utilized combat fighters for anything before, outside of just trying them out or what have you. And by and large, they just aren't worth it, in my opinion. I mean, maybe if you built your own fighter at a fighter factory or something that just does insane DPS, that's a railgun fighter, it might be worth it. But even then, like, you probably are better off spending the resources building a good railgun turret for your ship instead, because building custom turrets and fighters and stuff like that costs a lot of money, and it costs a lot of resources that you have to go warp around to different stations to gather. So I just haven't found it very useful. Not to say that I'm playing the game right. I mean, maybe there is a use for combat fighters I just am not aware of or haven't encountered yet. But I would think at this, like, for the amount of time that I've put into this game and played this game, I would think that the scenario where combat fighters would be useful would have made itself apparent by now, and it just hasn't. So anyway, there are some Zotans. That's a Zotan frigate. Those are normally pretty fucking strong. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with it. Well, we got 50 seconds. Let's just take a peek. So 1.3 Omicron, 40k shield. So let's just see how long it takes us to DPS this guy down. And see what he does to our shields as well. I mean, 1.3k is less than what the corvettes or cruisers or whatever in the Iron region are going to have. So if we can withstand this little battle, it'll be a decent test. Just letting my Teslas recharge. If they overheat, it is worth it to just, let off the mouse button and let them recharge all the way first. This fucking douche. Stop flying away. Coward. Just die. It's gonna happen. It's inevitable. I don't think we got that blue turret, which is a shame, because now we're gonna have to fly all over the goddamn world to pick up the fucking turret. But guess that's fine. And this ship is made out of Xanian, so this is where having, like, an R salvaging laser could be potentially useful to you, just because you would probably get a fair amount of Xanian from salvaging this entire ship. That's alright. I can't be bothered. I'm just surprised he's still fucking flying this fast with almost all of his engines blown off. Guess that's fine. So there we go. Got him beat. So I guess those... the system and... or the turret, it's not a system. That's flying towards us, so... let's go pick that up. It's a repair turret, so that was useless. So, forget that. We're warping out. I wish that the factions gave you money for defeating the Zotan fighters like they do the pirates. Because typically the Zotan will only attack the faction, and it's kind of like, I'm still defending you against someone, so why are you paying me to defend you against some people but not others? I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. Couple trinium large asteroids. Where's the claimable? Oh, there's a Xanian large asteroid too. Cool. So this is a good mining sector. So when we do build our mining fighter, or our mining auto miner ship, there's a good handful of asteroid systems around this area of space that we could automate between. And I guess if we're using our miners, like, we probably would only put them in one sector each. So this actually might be the first sector we put an R miner in, just because it's got 2 big triniums and a big Xanian asteroid inside of it. So that's pretty good as far as resource haul is concerned. And then there's a bunch of smaller asteroids too, obviously, that they'll pick up. But I'm primarily focused at this depth of space on getting trinium and Xanian. Unfortunately, there's not a way to tell your automated mining ships what asteroids to mine, or if there is, I don't know how to do it. So I don't believe that there is at this point in the game, unfortunately, a way to specify only mine a specific material quality level or whatever. So it is what it is. Maybe it'll get added at some point. Maybe it won't. Either way, it's not a big deal. So I know I said we were going to end at the 3-hour mark. It's a little bit past that now. I just kind of wanted to warp around and see what else was in some of these sectors. So, like, let's go to this one and see. I'd like to find one more asteroid before we end, if we can. And then we'll wrap it up, because it is getting kind of late where I live. I mean, I live in Utah, so it's like 8 o'clock here. I mean, it's not that late for me, but I try not to do these too late into the night, just because I don't, like, I'm wearing headphones and stuff, so I don't know how loud, like, my relative voice level is to my neighbors and stuff like that. So I don't want to keep anyone up if I can help it. Anyway, no worries. And playing a game straight for 3 hours is, it's a long time. So I think we'll call it once we find another asteroid, maybe. If it's in this sector. If not, we're just going to wrap up the episode and call it good. Or the stream, whatever the fuck. I don't know. I don't even know what to call these. But they're fun to make. I really enjoy making it. Even though, I mean, I'm still small time, so I don't have a whole lot of viewers. But, you know, I hope for people that do watch the... you know, maybe they didn't watch it live, but if they watch it back on YouTube, I hope that they enjoy the episode or enjoy the content, because if you're looking kind of just see how to play Avorion, like, I would think that these are reasonably good to show you what you should be prioritizing and what, or how someone approaches playing the game and stuff like that. I mean, at this point, our current target is get 10 million credits. And then after that, we're going to use those 10 million credits to found a gold and platinum mine somewhere with reasonable demand. Hopefully we can find a gold level trading system that shows us the demand for the area. So we'll actually be able to tell, you know, where we should place our mine. If not, it's not a big deal. We can place it anywhere. It's just if it's in a sector with a large demand for gold and platinum, you will sell more and it'll make you more money over time. Um, but that's kind of the goal at this stage of the game, is to start getting some passive credit generation, just because you are going to need a lot of credits in order to keep on moving forward in the game, primarily for building ships, because ships get expensive. So like if we go in here and I just show you, so this guy right here, 3.6 million Xanian, shit ton, 600,000 iron, shit ton, almost 200,000 tritium, shit ton of resources. And then in addition, 54.4 million to build this. So this is kind of the battle carrier that I use in the other series. I think it's actually outfitted the way that I have it set to, yeah, with all the turret bases and stuff. But anyway, so this is kind of the target ship, or a ship similar to this. So that's almost 55 million credits that you gotta have in order to build something like this. And even if we don't use this template, a ship that's as good as this is going to cost about the same amount of money. The ship we are currently flying is only like 4.7 million credits, right? So that is a factor of 11 times greater in cost than what we just upgraded to, in order to kind of reach end game level type stuff. And it's not even really end game level. I mean, that's more or less just mid-late game, especially on veteran difficulty. I'm assuming that a veteran difficulty ship is going to need a hell of a lot more shields and stuff like that than the one I got built there. It does have max slots, I guess, so meaning it's at, like, you can always increase your processing power, but that ship has just on volume alone enough processing power to unlock all 15 slots, which is the max for your systems in here. So like, we're still working on getting slot 10 unlocked, so that one has an additional 5 or 6 slots compared to this ship. So the more slots you have, the better your ship is going to be. So that's why the next step in this is to go ahead and get a mine founded, because they're the cheapest station to go ahead and build, and they produce pretty good money for you. Like if you get a gold platinum mine in a system where the factions are actually buying gold and platinum relatively frequently, meaning like, you know, maybe 2 times, 3 times an hour they buy one or the other resource, you get about 500,000 to 1 million credits for each cell of gold or platinum from one of those mines. So that's not bad. You'll slowly start snowballing the more mines you set up and things like that, but it's all about getting that first one set up. I mean, granted, if you're going to build like actual stations, so like the space station, so like the resource depot or trading post or whatever, like those are stations. Repair docks are pretty good because they make medical supplies which sell for a decent amount. Processor factories are pretty good if there's demand for processors in the region, or medical supplies. Like, it's all about playing the supply and demand of the region of space and stuff like that. But assuming that the item the station's making is in demand, processors, medical supplies are really good. What else? Solar collectors or energy cells, power cells, something like that. It's a solar collector, I believe, is what the factory's called. Those are decent because most places need power cells or energy cells, whatever that station type creates. So it will, like, the faction will constantly be buying stuff from those factories, which means that you're always generating money, and even if you're paying money to buy the prerequisite materials, you're still coming out at a profit. But anyway, guys, I think we're going to call it here for today. We got that last asteroid. We're almost at 2 million credits, so we've got 7 million to go, or 8 million to go, before we can build our first mine and start passively generating credits in the game. But we've got a lot accomplished today. We built a new ship, we gathered some resources, we made a lot of money, found some good turrets, good systems, kind of talked about a bunch of shit. So if you enjoyed the live stream, enjoyed the episode, if you're watching it on YouTube, be sure to consider following my Twitch stream. I'm trying to do more streams. This is like my third or fourth one, something like that, and I really enjoy the format. So having more people follow and talk in the chat and stuff like that would be great because it kind of builds a community and things like that, and I can answer questions and adjust kind of the content that I'm delivering to you, so you have a better experience watching it, right? If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel as always. And until next time, this has been Lone Debater 7, and we will see ya.